Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We're here today to talk about the new Netflix drama series, Beauty in Black.
Beauty.
Created, directed, and executive produced by a Tyler Perry. Now, I had no interest in watching this. Surprisingly, you did. And I'm glad that we did because this shit is out of control. And I think we're going to review all 8 episodes.
Oh boy.
We started with episodes 1 and 2, which we'll talk about today. Just really straight out the gate, after watching the first 2 episodes, what are some words you would use to describe this series so far?
Tacky, sordid, sleazy. Those might all mean the same thing. God, just inept.
The writing is atrocious.
But then again, if you like more adult-oriented daytime soap operas, it's at that level. So I mean, there's an audience for that, and I think both of you and I both kind of like trash sometimes, but it's just kind of depressingly bad.
Well, let's start with. So I agree with you. I'm just going to say, I always have to start off a Tyler Perry review with. It's just so curious to me that a person with this much power chooses to show a community in such a negative light, like consistently. Because I think as a queer person of color, if I got, if I got to be the level of a Ryan Murphy, it's like I would try my darndest to be truthful in representations of the community I align myself with, but also try to highlight the best in us. And I just think he always leads with the worst.
Well, because if this had been directed by somebody not of color, the exploitative would be the only word we'd be using here.
Oh, I mean, it's just, okay, let me just read the basic premise of the series. A young stripper's life takes an unexpected turn when she crosses paths with a powerfully wealthy yet very dysfunctional family behind a cosmetic empire and a devious trafficking scheme. So,
all worlds that Tyler Perry does not really know much about, maybe one more than the other.
So I'm going to read the premise for the 2 episodes we're watching because I'm sure we're going to collapse a lot.
Yeah.
So episode 1 is called Make It Rain. The premise for that: trying to get out of the life as a stripper and pay off a serious debt, a young woman, Kimmy, applies for a scholarship to a prestigious hair school founded by the powerful Baler family. And then episode 2 is called A Dance with Daddy. After a botched BBL, Kimmy defies orders to help Rain and makes a deal with a secretive yet powerful client. Okay, this series opens with a young woman named Kimmy, played by Taylor Williams.
Who was just in Tyler Perry's Divorce in the Black as well.
It opens with her, clearly a sex worker, going to some fancy hotel room to see a client. And the client is named Roy. And he is being very abusive towards her, like verbally, telling her that she's not what he wants, she's not dressed right, belittling her within the first 30 seconds of the series.
Wait, is it Roy? I thought it was Calvin.
It's Calvin?
I thought it was Calvin, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well,
am I mixing people up already? No, it wasn't him either.
Are we sure? Well, let's make sure now. So Roy, it is Roy.
It is Roy? God, that doesn't look like him at all.
I know. Well, okay, sorry, I don't know what picture you're looking at. I'm looking at him and it looks like him. Roy, like within the first 30 seconds of the series, he's being extremely abusive towards her, telling her she ain't shit. She's not dressed how he wants. She can't please him. And she's begging, like, no, please, please, please. He's threatening her and finally kicks her out. Then we immediately cut to Kimmy walking with her coworker, Rain. They're both strippers at the strip club. They've walked into some large corporate building to attend a conference, and they're talking amongst themselves, giving the audience exposition that basically they're there because Kimmy applied for a scholarship to some she's saying like a college. And her friend Rain is like, girl, I don't know why you'd waste your time trying to get an education. You should just try to make money in the strip club because that's the only thing you'll ever be able to do. Like, okay.
Which now, and then when you get to more of the backstory of their relationship, that conversation seems insane.
It really does. So Kimmie says, well, I'm going to go, girl. And Rain says, well, I'm going to go back to the strip club where I know I can make some money. So Kimmie's sitting in the audience. And that's when we're introduced to Mallory Bellarie, played by Crystle Stewart, who's been in many other, well, she's been on in other Tyler Perry productions.
Yes, last seen in Acrimony, another classic.
But she's in a bunch of episodes of one of his other TV shows. But anyway, Mallory Bellarie.
That's our name for her. Her last name is
Bellarie. But it just like Mallory Bellarie is like, so ugly. Like
so stupid.
You might as well just name it Mallory Bellarie.
Mallory Bellarie.
And this actor, Crystle Stewart, is gorgeous. She was Miss USA 2008. I mean, she looks like a Barbie doll.
She does. She's had some modifications, it seems, but yes, beautiful.
But she steps out in this conference, and basically she's giving out a bunch of scholarships. And then we realize it's not like, it's beauty school. She's giving out scholarships to her beauty academy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's also giving away $1 million to someone to open a salon. So Kimmie's sitting there like waiting for them to announce who won. And then during this conversation, they're like, well, we're not going to announce the winners for until hours from now because we have so much educating to do.
So then it's like, is this like a beauty con or a symposium?
Oh my God. The writing, it makes my skin crawl how bad it is. The woman playing the moderator for this like conference with Mallory is horrible.
I mean, that seems like something we'd find on a RuPaul skit.
Worse.
On Drag Race.
I mean, worse. The moderator's like, girl, tell us about how we all know you married into a rich family. Tell us how you did that. Like it's aspirational to like, this is a powerful, successful Black woman in a symposium attended by other Black people who are trying to come up in the beauty industry. And instead of focusing on like how she accomplished her success as an entrepreneur, this woman, the first question she asked her is, how'd you find this rich husband to marry? But then the way Mallory is telling the story, the writing, again, terrible. And then it ends with her saying, and when I married into the family, I could have just let them cut me a check, but instead I told them I want equity. And what does the moderator do? She starts going, yes, girl, we love that. Yes, yes, yes for equity. And then just moves on to the next thing.
Which it's just like, I think there are some people there that might not know what equity means.
Right. First of all, we've been told that we're going to spend hours educating people on being like successful business people in this field. And then she, like, the cornerstone to her success is knowing how to knowing that she needed equity, and then they don't even explain why that's important. They just clap like, oh, you recognize that from a Beyonce lyric? Like what?
Right.
It's just so disappointing. But okay, so this is where things are probably going to get collapsed. So
wait, let's talk about the lady that wins the $1 million.
Oh my God. They pull up some lady like, okay, Natasha Jenkins, you're the winner, whatever her name is.
Oh my God.
And you see this lady who comes out looking like she would have been one of the tenants in the apartment in Good Times. Like she doesn't even.
She looks like she's running a daycare center because
she has 6 kids with her. 6 kids crawling all over her. She comes up on stage, and then for some reason, Mallory is like, oh, can I hold the baby? And she starts holding the baby, and of course the baby spits up on her. And so then Mallory is like, oh, take your baby back. And then she goes, well, you're going to make so much money with this $1 million I gave you that you can buy me a new dress.
Ooh, that.
And then first Mallory walks to her SUV with her security and her like assistant, and she's being all fake, signing autographs. The minute she gets into that car, switch flips. And now she's just like, Hood Mallory has come out, and she is mad because on the walk to the car, she served court papers.
Yes.
She's being sued because some of her products, like some hair products, cause people's hair to fall out.
And you brought up Jackie's Back.
Which reminded me of Jackie's Back. when her relaxers were causing people's hair to fall out. But anyway, okay.
And she's
so,
mad that that dress that she was wearing, which I thought was really ugly. She's like, this couture dress is ruined.
Okay, so to collapse the 2 episodes, we're just going to really just go through the characters and what's going on.
Sure.
So the main character is Kimmie. So how did Kimmie become a sex worker? Because we're told that she's very smart. She seems very smart. And not that smart women can't get into these situations, but it's like, how in the world did this happen to her?
Mhm.
Well, we get flashbacks to her as a 17-year-old. And them trying to make her look young is laughable.
Well,
they basically paint her like one. It's like if you did kabuki makeup with brown foundation, like they because I think what the makeup artist was trying to do is not make her look so like contoured and like adult, like give her like a baby face. So it's just like one color foundation, and then they give her this wig that looks like it's just sitting on top of her head. But she lives with her mom, her baby sister, and her mama's boyfriend. And like Tyler Perry loves to do, the boyfriend is trying to have sex with the daughter.
And I think he has.
And he has. So Kimmie's mom's boyfriend has basically molested her. And when she tries to tell her mom, the mom at first doesn't believe her, but then the husband convinces her, like, don't let your daughter come between us. So what does the mom do? Tell us.
She drops her off at a mall parking lot and says, get out and here's $10. You can't.
What is the mall? It looks like she dropped her off at Walmart.
She's like, you're going to be 18 in a couple days. Like,
actually, she did drop her off at Walmart.
Oh,
and then she...
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then we have what's that Ashley Judd, Natalie Portman movie, Where the Heart Is, where Natalie Portman's she's in the same scenario, living at a Walmart at night.
The Kimmie is like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't believe you're doing this to me. And the mom is like, get the fuck out of my car. Take this money. This is all I have. Take this $10 bill.
But didn't the mom had really nice hair? Like the mother looked,
well,
the mother didn't the mother didn't look like she would do that. I would believe that woman would like toss her off with some relatives.
Well, no, I mean, yes, the actor is beautiful, but they lived in a raggedy apartment, and maybe you didn't notice, but the mom had like individual box braids, and some of those braids weren't in. Like some of her natural hair was hanging out. So I think they were trying to make her look downtrodden.
They were trying, but she didn't look. I don't know.
But either way,
to do
this
that,
lady drops her kid off at Walmart, and then so poor Kimmie is like hanging out in the bathroom crying when Rain comes in. And I think it's funny that they don't make a single attempt to make Rain look different. And I'm assuming it's because they're trying to show that Rain was already in the life of a sex worker. But
Rain just goes into the bathroom,
here's a girl crying
and says, you better come out, they're gonna close
at midnight.
Also doesn't go to the bathroom or wash her. Like, what did you go in there for?
Well, I suspect that maybe Rain was like like she was the Ghislaine for her pimp or something.
Well,
so she saw this girl wander into a bathroom.
But we need the establishing shot of that.
Of course. Well, yeah. I mean, there's so much that's not established, but Rain says, Kimmie, well, you can come with me. And then we see them look like it's like they're sitting behind some TVs. And then Rain tells Kimmie, are you hungry? And then pulls out an apple.
But Walmart has other food.
Like Snow White.
Right.
And then she goes, be quiet. The store's going to close in a minute. Just be quiet, because then we can stay here. So then they close the store. And then she says, follow me. Some of the aisles have motion sensors. So as long as you stick with me, we'll be fine. And then what? And then I'm thinking, oh, they're going to like go to sleep on a bed inside of a department store. No, what's the first thing they do? Rain goes to like the electronics section, gets on a computer, and gets on like Skype to talk to some guy. And this guy is basically having her run drugs across state lines.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees Kimmie in the background and goes, oh, well, what's she doing? Nothing. Well, does she want to do it? I can pay her $5,000 too. And Kimmie says, well, yeah, because of course she's desperate. The next scene is them on a plane. And then we see like a U.S. Marshal.
Well, his vest says police.
Or police. Like take her off the plane, and they get arrested for trafficking.
And we're in Indiana, by the way.
Okay, we need to remember who that police officer is because we're going to get back to him.
Mm-hmm.
But now, well, we should get to him now. That police officer, his name is Jules.
Played by Charles Malik Whitfield.
And apparently he is like everything. He's like a legitimate law enforcement agent who also runs like women. He's sex trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
He also is like head of security for the Baler family. And we're told they're like the richest family in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now he's gotten Kimmie and Rain out of trouble, but to pay off their debt to him, they have to work in one of his strip clubs. So this man owns like a chain of strip clubs
Mm-hmm.
where not only is he, selling dances, but he's also like pimping out these women
on the side, on top of their shifts. Yes.
Okay. So that's Kimmie and Rain. Then we learn that Mallory Bellarie, she met. How does she meet her husband?
Roy?
Doesn't she say like they were they were in school together? Something. Somehow she met him and then found out that he was part of the richest family in Chicago. Ended up marrying him,
Mm-hmm.
and then we learned this all in the opening with her at the conference that instead of her just being like a token housewife, she decided to like become the head of beauty.
But her husband's her father-in-law holds the purse string, so actually her husband doesn't have access to the money. Now she's the money maker.
Okay, but then I'm confused because she says she didn't just want to be the face of Beauty in Black, which is the name of their brand. That's why she wanted equity. But then her husband is the CEO. Mm-hmm. So what's her job title? But anyway, so that's their relationship. And then her husband, Roy, mm-hmm. he's the man in the beginning
abusing Kimmie.
So clearly their relationship is on the rocks.
Who's hopped up on drugs in a way that's like
comical.
It's like cocaine reefer madness.
Okay, so Mallory, after she's been served papers, she's driving home. She gets mad at her team, kicks them out of the SUV like in the middle of the road, mm-hmm. and then drives herself home. And of course, they live in a mansion on a big lot of property that has a private road, and it's pouring rain. And then Kimmie, after she was kicked out from Roy's hotel room, her pimp tells her, bitch, you better go back and satisfy my customer. Jules. Mm-hmm. I told him you were. Also, Jules tells her, like, you're my smartest girl. That's why I want you to go.
You're my favorite customer.
But then when she gets there, nothing about Roy would indicate that he's interested in intellectual.
Oh, not at all. In fact, the reason he kicked her out was because she wasn't wearing the clothes he wanted her to.
It makes no sense.
And I'm still unclear what those clothes were supposed to be. Anyway, she's worked a strip and shift.
So now she's all musty.
And she's come back.
She goes back, and then she is finally able to convince him to have sex with her. But then he can't maintain an erection, so he gets mad.
She also looks like she looks like she's going to cry.
She looks like if a sex doll could cry.
Or what's that donkey? Alhazard Balthazar? That like that donkey. Like she just looks beaten down, and he's like, "Are you gonna cry?"
Right. So now Roy is mad because he's suffering from erectile dysfunction mm-hmm. and blaming her. She doesn't know what to do, so she gets on his phone. Like she sees his phone, and she's like, "Hey Siri, call my wife." Oh, now my phone is trying to do it. It's like, you don't have a wife. And so now Mallory Bellarie is driving in the rain after she kicked out her assistants when her husband calls. She picks up the call, and now Kimmie is doing it up like, "Oh yeah, I'm so much better than your wife. You're so good. I know you love it." And he's, trying to talk dirty to her.
Like Shannon Sharp.
So yes. So Mallory's mad and not paying attention, and she runs over a person who's running down her private road.
In the middle of the road, in the pouring rain.
Like in the middle of the road while it's pouring rain.
I cannot wait to see what that's going to be explained.
And she's driving a big Suburban going at a higher rate of speed. And we see her hit this person. It looked like a woman. Mm-hmm. Hits her dead on. The body flies over the car and hits the ground. Mallory gets out, checks on it, and then just drives home. So then, after her husband's Roy is done with Kimmie in the hotel room, he's driving home on the private road in his Aston Martin SUV and runs over the body again.
And then his dumbass
Oh my God. His dumbass gets out the car to check to see what he hit, sees a body, and what does he do?
puts this wet ass body in his trunk. This bloody wet body.
Oh my God. I just can't believe it. So he gets home with this body in the trunk of his $280,000 SUV. And Mallory is sitting in the living room or the dining room mad, drinking some cognac. And she's like, I know you were with that bitch. Who was she? And they start getting into a fight and she's hitting him. And he's like, bitch, you crazy? I wasn't with anyone.
And then
she's like, I heard you.
And then she goes, did you take the private road?
And then he's like, why? You tried to set me up, bitch. I knew you were crazy. And then they reveal to each other, like, well, she says, well, I hit a body on the private road. And he's like, well, I put the body in my trunk. So they go to the car and she's like, why would you do this? Well, I don't know, bitch. Why would you hit this woman and not say anything? So then he's like, we have to call Jules, the head of our security. Okay. She's like, no.
She doesn't want to call Jules.
No, because she's like, he knows too much of our business. So they try to resolve this on their own. Two very rich, notable people decide to drive across state lines with a dead body in this super expensive car.
They've been drinking and he's on multiple other drugs.
He's on drugs. They've been drinking. And immediately when we see them driving, she goes, you need to slow down because we're going to get pulled over. And before she can even take her second breath, we hear the sirens go.
Mm-hmm.
He gets taken out of the car, does a breathalyzer, is getting arrested, and Mallory calls Jules. Help me, help me. And this is when we realize that Jules is the most connected person in the world.
Yep.
Because he's like, are you in Chicago? No, I'm in Indiana. Okay, give me a minute. He's calling. Well, give me the officer's name and badge number. I'll take care of it. And she's like, you got to hurry. They're putting him in handcuffs. Well, you just need to let him take them. Just don't let them take the car. Well, like they're going to tow it. And so they just tow it while Jules is saying, well, I'm almost there. I'll pick you up. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So he gets to her.
And also, while the tow truck is happening, she sees that the body's moving around in the back.
Oh my God. We can't forget that this person who was hit by a Suburban doing like 50 miles an hour and then run over by another SUV is still alive and opens the trunk of the car while the cop is there. But then Mallory jumps out and closes the trunk and pretends that nothing happened. Okay, so the Aston Martin gets towed. Jules gets taken to jail. And then Roy gets taken to jail. Jules picks her up. And then he's like, well, what's going on? And she's like, well, Roy's been taken to jail. I got to get this car out of the impound lot because there's a dead body in the trunk. They get there. And then Jules, like two of his henchmen show up, one of whom is played by Brian Tanaka, Mariah Carey's ex-boyfriend. And he says, you need to go get that body out of the trunk. And what's the first thing these two guys do? Go shoot and kill the impound lot attendant.
Why?
Why would you make a bad situation worse?
Just go get the car.
You couldn't just go get the car. So they go get the car, and then we find out that body is not in there. So somehow this person who clearly suffered, like,
is ambulatory,
has to be in critical condition, not only was able to get out of the car, but they were able to walk so far that they can't find them. Okay, so what else is happening? A dance with daddy. So Rico Ross, who we know from Alien.
One of the best films ever made, yes. And we've seen in a couple other things. Actually, I happened to just watch Death Wish 3 randomly last month, which he's in. And then he's in that terrible Christmas movie with Vivica A. Fox. I think it's called A Husband for Christmas, in which he has maybe the worst British accent I've ever heard.
It was really bad.
But I'm glad that he's getting work.
Doesn't he look like if Norwood Young gained weight?
And hadn't messed up his face?
Well, I feel like Rico's nose is interesting. It looks like Norwood's. If Norwood gained like 60 pounds.
It's not quite as bad as Norwood.
No, it's not. But anyway, Rico Ross plays. So initially, he's like this. He keeps saying how old he is, but he's not that old. But
He's like, I'm about to die. It's my mother's age.
because he's sick, but he doesn't
Sure.
look bad.
No.
But anyway, he goes to Kimmie's strip club and asks for a private dance from her specifically.
Also, okay, note about the strip club. I don't believe I've ever been in one, but my knowledge of them is that they are not what's the word?
Co-ed.
Co-ed strip clubs.
So I have been to many strip clubs. The ones that I have been to that were co-ed, they were like upstairs is men, downstairs is women. But I've never been to one where like
it's not like
they're all in the same room.
Like the Abbey in West Hollywood.
It was interesting. But anyway, Rico Ross asked for a private dance from Kimmie specifically, and we don't know why.
Nope.
But she goes back there, and we have to talk about the people who run the strip club. But so we'll get to them. But she goes back there, and she gives the most lackluster lap dance you have ever seen. And then he keeps looking out the curtain to this really attractive man. And Kimmie goes, "Oh, do you like what you see?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "No, not me, him." And the man gets upset. Like, "I don't know what you think I am." And he throws her the $50 for the lap dance and leaves. So of course, her boss, these two women run the strip club, which we'll get to.
But the lap dance, that was like something out of the Black Ladies sketch comedy show.
Oh my God. I mean,
those ladies could have done that.
You know what? Like on Instagram, you see those videos of like dogs twerking. A dog twerking was more sensual than her doing whatever she was doing. And then she has that look on her face of like Eeyore, the sad dog.
She looks so sad.
Okay. But then for some reason, he comes back in episode 2 talking about he wants Kimmie again. And the ladies who run the strip club are like, "I don't know why he wants you again, but bitch, you better go.
And you better get his money and his credit card number and everything."
Right. So she goes back there and she's like, "Well, what can I do you for?" And he's saying like, basically, I do like that guy.
And he wants her to procure for him.
And she's like, "Okay, well, that'll be $1,500." And he's like, "Well, I'm on a fixed income."
Man.
Well,
then
and then he goes, "Well, this is all I have, $800." And she's like, "Okay, I'll see what I can do." And then he tells her like, this is new for him, and this is the only way he knows how to get what he needs, and that he's sick, and like this is like something he's never done and wants to do it. So then Kimmie, I don't know if we made it clear, but in addition to her being a smart girl who's had a rough time, she does come across as like a sweet person who's just been traumatized and, a victim of circumstance. But after she hears Rico's story, she goes, "You know what? I can get him to do it for $500. So take back this $300 you gave me." And then he goes, "Well, you know what?" Then again, this writing is so terrible. All of a sudden, Rico's like, "Why trust you?"
He's like, "I've never met an honest whore."
And then he just keeps saying, like, "Can I trust you? Can I trust you?"
But then he's like, where's the hookup going to happen? He's like, "Can I take him to your place?" And she goes, "Why don't you guys get a hotel room?" He's like, "Well, I can't afford that." And then
motherfucker, I just gave you $300.
And then he just gives her the extra $300. He's like, here, baby, that's for you. What?
It makes no sense. But she says she'll do it. So she goes to the guy, and then we find out the guy. Oh my gosh, I'm choking on my Diet Sunkist. The guy is the guy from the Walmart Skype call who got them to run drugs across state line, because he also got arrested. So guess what he's doing? He's working in the strip club to pay off his debt as well. But it seems like the guys aren't being pimped out the way the girls are. It's just so odd. But anyway, because you would think that he would have the guys running drugs or something instead of like stripping. Because what kind of money are they making from the guys then?
Well, right.
I mean, because I'm sure they're not turning tricks like the girls are.
The visualization of this strip club does not make sense to me.
But he is very nice looking, and so Kimmie goes to him like, okay, I'm gonna give you $500. There's this old man out here who wants you to like have sex with him. And basically the guy says, what's that guy's name, the actor? Do you recall? Was it Jack?
The man that was responsible for them getting in trouble.
Yeah, the sexy stripper who Rico wants.
I don't remember right now. I'll have to
But
double check.
anyway, he's like, okay, I'll do it, but no anal. So they go and they get to the hotel, and Kimmie doesn't even have time to like smoke a full cigarette before that guy runs out like, okay, I'm done. I'm going home. So we go into the room. Oh, Xavier Smalls.
Angel.
He looks like the kind of man Tyler Perry would like. He does.
Oh.
He looks like other actors Tyler Perry has hired in other productions.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Kimmie goes into the hotel, her hotel room that she let this strange older man have a gay hookup in. And he's coughing. And at first, didn't you think that it was like, oh, it's the first time he's ever like had someone ejaculate in his mouth?
It was either that or he had TB. I couldn't tell.
And then you were like, or does he have TB? But then we find out that he really is sick.
Mm-hmm.
So he tells Kimmie, can you drive me home? And he's also driving like this pickup truck that looks like it doesn't make sense because he's saying he's on a fixed income, like he's retired, but he's driving like a worker man's truck.
Mm-hmm.
So Kimmie's driving him and he's telling a story about something, and they get to the gate of this huge mansion. And there's
palatial.
like it's a compound, and there are guards waiting out front like 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And at first the guards are looking at this truck like, who the fuck is this? But then when they turn to the passenger side and they see Rico Ross, they're like, oh, hello, sir, welcome home.
But wouldn't they recognize his truck?
I'm so confused. We need to talk about
so
that.
stupid.
But they pull in, and of course Kimmie is like, is this your house? And then they walk in, and of course it's this huge mansion with all this artwork, and he sits down and says, can you give me my medication? So she goes into his office to get his medication. And she sees that plot twist, he is the patriarch of the Bellarie family.
Mm-hmm.
His son is Roy, the man who was abusive to her when she was tricking.
Mm-hmm.
And the father-in-law of Mallory Bellarie, the woman who she wants a scholarship from.
Meanwhile, one of the conversations they have in the truck relates to the other subplot.
Yes, thank you. So the subplot is that the two women who are kind of running the strip club, so one of them is played by the lady from Divorce in the Black,
Ursula O. Robinson as Delinda,
who is just laughably bad as like the madam of the strip club, because it looks like the actor is having a hard time not laughing between her lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like she knows this shit is stupid. And then the bottom bitch of the club, like she keeps saying she's Jules' bottom bitch. She's like the main stripper who makes all the money. It's like they were trying to do Jennifer Lopez in, what's that movie where she's the stripper? Hustlers. That scene where she like dances and all the men are throwing the money.
Mm-hmm.
That character's name is Body, played by Tamara Kissin.
She's basically the floor warden of the girls in the changing room.
And that lady, I'm sure I looked at pictures of her out of like in normal life, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But she can't act.
No. Well, she can't be, she's not being well directed.
Well, or that, whatever it is, this characterization is laughably bad because it looks like all she knows how to do is scream, and all she's saying is, bitch, you better get my money. Bitch, you better not roll your eyes at me, bitch, get my money.
It's very, I think Tyler Perry's becoming the Russ Myers of his generation. Remember Faster Pussycat, Kill.
Oh, God.
Tira Satana shouting everything.
Okay. So that character's name is Body because she clearly has like enhancements.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying like BBL, but it's not a BBL. What Body wants, so Body does not like Kimmie because she thinks she's too big for her britches and doesn't want to fall in line.
But she's like OTT bitchy to her.
But Body likes Kimmy. I mean, Kimmy's friend Rain.
Mm-hmm.
And Body really wants Rain to get enhancements. Like she wants her to get ass shots, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like her entire plot line with her is like, I need you to get a bigger ass so you can be like my number 2 girl.
Because you can be the woman you deserve to be.
And of course, Kimmie is telling her friend Rain, do not get these ass shots. It is not safe. But Rain, she's kind of upset that Kimmie doesn't want her to get it, but it also seems like she knows she shouldn't either, but Body pressures her into doing it. So we get a scene where Body lets Rain leave early for work. Body drives Rain back to their hotel room because Kimmie and Rain share a hotel room together.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person who's doing the ass shots shows up, and guess who it is? T.S. Madison playing a character named Daga. And Daga says she's some kind of nurse, and she's doing the ass shots with like the fix-a-flat.
Mm-hmm.
So like, of course it doesn't go well. They do the shots, and Rain is like on her deathbed. Literally. When Kimmie returns home, she sees her friend about to die, so she takes her to the hospital. And of course, that causes a scene because Jules is like, bitch, like, you can't call attention to my operation.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also say that several girls have died.
Right.
So it's like, I think you bring enough attention to your operation.
Okay. There are several things. Okay. The scene where T.S. Madison wants her money. Body has told Rain that she can get her
A
discount, and she can get this practitioner to come to her, and with a discount. I don't know why, but T.S. Madison knows nothing about this discount.
Because she goes, why are you telling these bitches that I can give discounts? I want my money.
Which makes no sense. And then Body says, well, she'll be able to refer people to you when they see her big new booty in the club. It's like,
and then T.S. Madison goes,
okay, sure.
So you're not running me my money, and then you're telling me like, oh, in lieu of that, you're going to get me more referrals for people who are also not going to run me my money. Okay.
Oh.
So, yeah. This.
Okay. So then Body calls Rain's cell phone to see how she's doing, and Rain is not. Also, they told Rain that she was going to get titties and ass, and they don't even touch her.
They also told her that she'd be able to go back to work that
same night.
Like she leaves at 11 p.m. and they tell her she'll be able to go back to work, and she looks like she has been bitten by a vampire. Like her ass, like you can see her ass has been like blown up, and like it already looks necrotic, and there's oozing stuff coming out.
T.S. Madison and her little helper left.
They left bloody towels all over the hotel room. They left the cans of Fix-a-Flat spread all over the room. But when Body calls Daga T.S. Madison back to say, hey, shit went left, you need to come check on her, Daga comes back, and basically all they do is clean up.
Not even really everything. There's still ostensibly prints everywhere because they know that this girl's probably going to die.
Horrible, right? I mean, the writing's so bad. There's a moment when T.S. Madison tells Rain before, like as she's doing the procedure, take off your panties and your pants too.
Like
what?
Yeah,
mm-hmm. I think that should have been the other way around.
Right. Well, it feels like there's probably one take.
It feels like the script was written like in a day, as Tyler Perry's known to do, and then. And I don't mean it like the script for this episode. It feels like he probably wrote all 8 shows in one day. And then it looks like all of these actors were given like one take.
Yes.
Because there are a few moments where characters seem to like kind of stumble over the lines, and they just kept it.
They keep it going. Well, anyway, so this is going on. So Kimmie doesn't listen to Body, gets a taxi so she can take Rain to the hospital.
Oh my God.
The poor taxi driver.
The taxi driver shows up.
Which, it's a black woman, and I guess she felt like she had to do the right thing.
And Kimmie is dragging out her friend who looks like she's about to die.
She's bleeding everywhere.
And the cab driver's like, I'm not a nurse. And Kimmie's like, open up the back door. We got to put her in there. Oh my gosh, she's bleeding. And the cab driver is like helping her and sees the stuff is oozing on her seat. And she's like, oh my God, what is this? They're going to charge me for this. Would you have picked that lady up? No.
Well, I would.
I would have called.
I feel like I would have felt bad, but I also would anyway.
I would have called the
There would have
ambulance.
been some other calls being made. They get to the hospital, and the orderlies take Rain in, and the other people in this really bizarre looking waiting room are looking at Kimmie like she is trash that blew in from the street. It's like she looks like a normal person that brought somebody into the hospital, and these people are mean
Kimmie,
mugging her.
it makes no sense. They're in the waiting room. Like, and Kimmie, like you said, looks like a very beautiful, put together young lady. Her hair's laid. She's wearing a really nice two-piece sweat outfit.
Yeah,
Nothing about her would elicit nasty looks.
no.
I don't understand what's happening.
And then there's some police there. She gets nervous and she leaves just as Jules, the super pimp, pulls up. And then Jules is screaming at her and he's like, you're lucky I have contacts inside the hospital that can take care of this.
This Jules character is unbelievable.
Like, how?
He's unbelievable.
So then, because I'm trying to loop it back to the Rico Ross bond that's going on. So Kimmie calls the hospital the next day posing as Rain's mother, and they're like, ma'am, we can't tell you anything due to HIPAA violations over the phone. You'd have to come into the hospital.
I really appreciated that.
But again, it's like, oh, Tyler Perry knows about HIPAA, but no other details. But you know why he knows about that? Because it's convenient to his plot twist. Because since Kimmie can't go back to the hospital, that is how she concocts she asks assistance from Rico Ross to say, can you pose as my friend's grandfather to go visit her because I can't go?
We didn't mention that. Well, the final sort of scene is that when Jules realizes that the dead body in the back of the Aston Martin has vanished, he has to go to Beauty and Black headquarters to tell Mallory Bellarie.
Mm-hmm.
So Jules and Roy, Mallory's husband, walk into like this beautiful conference room, this glass conference room. And it was such an odd scene because Roy and Mallory do not have a good relationship. They were fighting the night before. He was arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow he's gotten out very quickly and is back to work tip top in the morning. And they're like faking pleasantries as if anyone can hear them.
No one can hear them and no one is looking.
And then he goes, well, we have to tell you something. That body's gone. What the fuck happened? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, you better go find him. And then Jules leaves. And then they're like going, like, Roy says goodbye. And she's like, well, wait.
Where's my goodbye kiss?
Where's my goodbye kiss? Like, you have to make sure everyone knows that we're okay. And it's like, no
God.
one can hear you or is listening to you. You also just gave away your entire the crime you committed last night. So if people could read your lips already,
right,
they would already know that.
Oh,
it's just so horribly handled. We have spent a long time talking about the 2 episodes.
Oh my God, probably longer than the episodes. But Tyler Perry's just exhausting. I don't know.
That being said, we were howling.
Right.
So this is the thing. Like like you said, I like trash. It's fun to, it's especially with someone else. Like, I think it was fun because you and I were together.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And then it was fun thinking, you know what? We're going to talk about this on Patreon. And I hope people care to listen. But I am looking forward to finishing it. Sure. You know what so what's one thing you're really curious about right now?
That body, where to go and what kind of shape is it in?
That's a good one. I'm also very curious as to why Rico wanted Kimmie specifically.
That's what we need to talk about. I wanted to come back to this DL situation going on with this character makes no goddamn sense. That he would go, this wealthy, affluent man, this is how he's going to go to a strip bar so he can peer at men and then hope that he finds a friendly female stripper to help him get what he wants. It makes no damn sense.
Well, I mean, this character is essentially a very wealthy black man who has pretended to be straight and he's looking for gay sex.
Yes,
And
like
I'm not saying Tyler Perry's gay, but
no, Tyler. He most certainly is a closeted man, I think.
but I feel like you can't help but think like this probably makes sense to probably what someone like a Tyler Perry would do, like this character.
He's trying to, but that's something he would have had to do before there were hookup apps, perhaps in the 2000s.
Well, if I were like, I was thinking, we were talking about this. If I were very famous, I think that I would probably use an intermediary to find me people. And then I would definitely do most of my stuff not probably in the United States. I mean, I would go places where maybe people don't know me as well. And I'm not the one on the app that's showing pictures. And, maybe I would get someone to bring someone to like a party I'm throwing. Because I think that's what a lot of closeted and not closeted gay, powerful gay people, like rich famous people do.
Yes.
Especially in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have, and I've never been invited to any of these, but I've heard people tell stories of like these sort of parties that, because when I was younger, before there was social media and everyone had smartphones and all that, and there were no apps, and then living in Vegas and interacting with some celebrities and rich people who didn't want people to know they were gay, it was a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, yeah, I don't know.
To me, I think power and money are corrupting, and I think a man like this would already have a system in place, much like Mr. Perry probably has a system in place to get his needs met.
I agree with you. It makes no sense, but we're also only 2 episodes in, and maybe
I don't know.
I want to believe it has something to do with the fact that he asked for Kimmie specifically.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
all will be revealed.
like
and I'm
maybe
sure
he knows that he can hold something over her so that she can't blackmail him or something.
I don't know what. And also, I want Tyler Perry knows nothing about characterization nor nuance, but it's like there has to be a Kimmie and Rain. Rain got this girl caught up. She got this girl trafficked, and now she's an indentured servant
Because of her.
There would be such animosity.
Yeah, why would Kimmie care so much for Rain? I mean, granted, she was 17 when they met and she was helpless and this lady helped her. So maybe she has Stockholm syndrome. I don't know. But it does feel kind of like Kimmie's a smart girl.
But then it's just like Tyler Perry, was a trailblazer, is a trailblazer, but it's like you aren't the best person to tell these women's stories, perhaps, in this kind of environment.
Anyway, that's all we have for now. I'm anxious to continue with the series and talk about it. I hope people care to listen.
Oh,
is there anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Ta-ta. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We're here to talk about episode 3, season 1 of Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, now streaming on Netflix.
Let's hope there's only one season of this.
I bet there are more.
Oh my God.
The premise of episode 3. Kimmie's choices lead to dangerous consequences. Tension builds between the Bellaries as a furious Norman hunts for answers about the hit and run. We're only 3 episodes in, but I thought this was the least interesting of the 3.
Yes, and I don't know how to clarify how something's getting worse. But we were standing at a negative before, and somehow this is nosedived.
I'm just going to start going through the episode and through my notes. So it starts with, we know the last one ended with Kimmie in Rico Ross's mansion.
Good old Horace.
And she sees that he is the father of the John who had been abusing her, Roy. And then she recognizes that he's obviously part of the Baler family. So the opening of this one, he's like, your little friend, the male stripper who he had sex with, stole his watch, Rico's watch. So
Mhm.
Rico tells Kimmie, that watch had sentimental value for me. Can you please make sure to return it to me? And she's like, well, he says, I'll pay you for it. And she's like, no, you don't owe me anything. I just want to make sure you go check on my friend in the hospital. So people remember Kimmie had asked Rico Ross's character if he could go check on Rain because she's afraid to go in. But immediately goes to the hospital to check on her. So, but anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So, oh my God. Kimmie, well, also Rico explains that he has prostate cancer. So that's what he's dying of.
It's very Big Daddy and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
He also explains to her, not knowing that she saw the pictures, like, do you know who I am? No. Well, do you know Bellarie Beauty in Black? Yeah, of course. Did you use our products? Yeah, I've been using them since I was a kid. And this man says to her, stop using our products. The relaxers cause cancer. And then he says, I have prostate cancer. So I don't know what is the product line of Bellarie Beauty in Black that he would just say, like, stop. Also, this child's clearly wearing a wig, so I don't know why he would assume that she's relaxing her hair.
I think she has stopped.
But also, it's like, well, do you make other products? Like, I'm sure she uses your makeup or.
Do all of them cause cancer?
But I thought that was funny. He just says it so matter of factly. They cause cancer.
Well, and then he see the details we get, and then the way that the actors are written playing them because we learned that he started this business with his brother, who's Richard Lawson.
And the brother, Richard Lawson, is a chemist, and Rico Ross's character went to Wharton School of Business.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, it's a perfect team.
Is it?
So, okay. So since you brought up Richard, so Richard is Richard Lawson, Beyonce's former stepdaddy. He plays Rico Ross's brother. They started Bellarie Beauty in Black. We find out, and I should have known. I mean, I did have an inkling when the woman who was hit on the private road, which how many times do you say private road?
Yeah, it's clear that this person is related to the family somehow.
Because who else would be on this private road?
Which why dumb Mallory wouldn't have thought that in the first place is beyond me.
We also find out that this private road, like everyone, like it's a compound. And everyone's mansion is in this compound.
That's like if somebody had gotten mowed over on the Jackson family compound and they're like, I wonder who that could be. Well,
well, who could get in?
It's probably somebody with the code.
But we find out the woman who was involved in the hit and run, the one who was struck twice by big SUVs, thrown into the back of a trunk, somehow got out in an impound lot and ran away, and somehow was found to be put in the hospital, is Richard Lawson's wife, Ina.
And there, again, the details. We're told that she's found in an impound lot, but then
we can get to it. So we see Richard Lawson at the hospital, and immediately he runs into her room and is screaming at the doctor, like, my family paid for this ward in the hospital. You better save her.
Okay.
Before he's even heard anything about her, she's in the bed alive.
Right.
So it's not like she's crashing. Oh my God. It's just written so horribly. Then we cut to Kimmie is pounding on someone's door, and it's the apartment that the sexy stripper lives in, whose name I couldn't find him on IMDb.
Angel.
Oh, Angel.
Xavier Smalls.
That's right. You did look him up. Xavier Smalls.
Or Xavier, probably, but because we're in America.
Well, it's probably Xavier. Xavier Smalls. She's pounding on Xavier's baby mama's door. And that actor, the baby mama, can't act.
No, well,
what you doing here? You better
club.
not wake my baby up screaming.
Yeah.
Bitch, you gonna wake your baby
you
up.
Better.
Okay, you need to pipe down. And then what does Kimmie do? Storm into the apartment. Also, this lady in her apartment has I haven't seen these since the 80s, but those beads that hang like partitions, these
Yes.
loud ass beads. Like, you're so worried about this newborn sleep and you got these loud ass beads.
Let me tell you, my sister had that, and she's younger than me, and I had to pass through that sometimes. I hate those. I don't like them.
But Kimmie storms into this apartment being told not to wake her baby up and is screaming. She's screaming at Angel, give me the watch. I know you got the fucking watch, blah, blah, blah. We're in deep trouble. And Angel's playing like, I don't know what you're talking about. I know you took it. You don't know who you're dealing with. He's gonna fuck us up if you don't give him back the watch. Well, who is he? And I forget his character. Harvey. He has kind of
Horace.
a Horace Harvey Baleri.
Horace, which always reminds me of Dr. Quinn Medicine.
But he has a middle name. It's not a cute name. Hold on. No shade to anyone named Harvey, but when
Horace.
They don't have his full. It's Horace Harvey Bellarie, I think. Anyway,
the names in this.
Kimmie's telling Angel, that man you hooked up with is Horace Harvey Bellarie. Look him up. Google him. So Angel Googles him and pulls up the picture of Rico Ross like you're fucking kidding me. And it's like, no, fool, you were the one who was letting him do things to you. You don't recognize him? So he's like, well, what does this mean? And then she's telling him like, he's the real boss of the strip club. Jules, who they think is their boss, the one running everything, he works for Rico Ross.
He's the one that should be singing the Iggy Azalea song.
Which is what?
I'm the strip club.
Oh. So, of course, Angel's like, oh, damn. Well, I guess we got to give back the watch. And then who comes in? The stupid ass baby mama like, no. Oh, she was so annoying.
She had the watch in her nurse's scrubs.
Like what?
Like she was about to dip out that night and pawn it.
Well, in episode 2, Angel did say like, oh man, if I didn't have to square up with my baby mama, like my back child support payments, like I wouldn't have to have sex with this man. So I'm assuming.
But he's staying with her, so.
But I'm assuming he gave her the 500 and the watch. Like, here's something to, Ugh. Okay. Then we cut to, you already said it, but you've never seen a character look so downtrodden, but like in a comical way, because the actor played Kimmie, who's supposed to seem like she's been beaten down, is really just playing this character like she's bored.
Well, we're also told that she's smart, and this lady is not making any smart decisions.
She comes across as she could be smart, but she's not making any smart decisions.
She seems really simple.
So we see her just sitting in her hotel room, just sitting there, like that picture of Candy Muse in the VIP area, like just sitting there, like you're in your own space. Why are you sitting like that?
Yeah, she's just like waiting.
Yeah, she's just waiting. Like for what are you waiting for? And then there's a knock on the door, and we already know who it is because we see the pink Bentley coupe pull up to this motel that looks like it's been CGI.
And God, I would have loved to see Angeline pop out, but no.
Oh, well, Angeline drives a Corvette, but yeah. So who's at the door? Baby, the bottom bitch at the strip club.
Body.
Baby. Well, the way her body's shaped, she looks like a baby with Pampers on.
Nobody fits this body in a corner.
All those girls with those BBLs and them skinny ass legs and
duck
like
lips
and duck lip, they look like sexy cartoon ducks to me.
Yeah, well, sexy.
Like whenever Donald Duck the cartoon would do drag, like that's what she looks like.
Isn't there a lady duck?
My apologies. Oh yeah, what is Donald Duck's girlfriend?
There's a lady. I mean, they've had to make him hetero because we don't want to frighten the horses. Also, bodies.
Her name is Daisy Duck.
Yeah, see, yeah. I knew
these girls look like Daisy Duck. In fact, Daisy Duck's more proportionate than a lot of these girls. Anyway.
Not this proper lady duck. Body's hair looks like one of those 4th of July popsicles, also, which is driving me crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so it's I still want to call her Baby. Body's at the door with Daga. Daga is T.S. Madison, the quote-unquote nurse who did perform the ass shots on Rain.
The body butcher. And she's got her hoodie.
Tia, you know I love T.S. Madison, and I'm so happy that she has this role. But she looks so funny because she's wearing this red hoodie, and then combined with Body's white and blue hair, and there's trouble. Like, why else would she be wearing a hoodie?
Well, right.
And they're like, well, how's Rain doing? I don't know. I can't go see her. Stop lying to us, bitch. I'm not lying. Well, I'm going to have to show you I'm serious.
I'm
But you
give
don't
you
have
some
to.
incentive.
Yeah. And Kimmy's like, you don't have to show me anything. Like, I'm not trying to challenge you. And Body's like, you want my spot. You think you can get my spot at the club? I promise you I don't want your spot. Okay. Then we get the most poorly edited beatdown
Well,
I have seen in a long time.
It's that Steven Seagal action film, late 90s onward.
Where it's like clearly everyone involved in this fight that was probably not choreographed.
It was not.
They don't know what they're doing. So it's edited like we're having.
Poor Taylor Williams as Kimmie somehow is launched across a bed and hits a wall.
They stomp her out.
And then they go outside cackling. They're supposed to be kind of incognito. And
they go outside cackling, and you hear them outside going, "We fucked that bitch up."
and then we see Kimmie like just kind of stand up and brush herself off. Like
she stands up like when I'm sitting on the toilet for too long and my legs go numb, so I got to rest myself against the sink. That's how she looked. And then she immediately goes to the hospital, and she sees the like check-in person in the ER. And she's like, I got into a fight. I'm in pain. I need to see the doctor. And the nurse is like, well, like, is this, like, how did you get into this fight? Are you safe? Do I need to call the police? No. So what's going on? Well, I think something's wrong with my ribs. What's your pain level on a scale of 1 to 10? And she's like, an 11. And it's like, if your pain were at an 11, you wouldn't be standing here talking to me. Like, she just walked into the ER.
She looked like she went to the school nurse and she's like, I got a tummy ache.
Not even that convincing. And then third graders are more convincing with the school nurse than she was.
And then she's like, okay, fill this out and take a seat. She's like, damn, I got to wait even though I'm at an 11.
And then the nurse or the receptionist is like, look around. Okay. But so at first I'm like, this is so stupid. But then we realize that she's faking it because she wants to see Rain.
But this is why I think she's simple, because it's like you didn't really have to get beat up to
fake you did excuse. Not have to pretend that you got beat up. Which, I mean, she did get beat up, but you don't have to pretend to get into the hospital to then run. Because certainly Rain is not in the ER. Like, the ER is separate from wherever Rain's being kept. Rain looks like she's, where Rain looks like she is? What's that British series that I watched by myself and you got all mad, so I had to rewatch it with you?
Ooh.
What's it called?
I know you're not putting me out there like that on this recording.
Well, is it true? You were mad. What is it called?
I was irritated. It's a Sin. And you don't even remember the name of it.
Remember the ward they put Neil Patrick Harris in?
Yes.
That's where it looks like they have a Rain. Mm-hmm. And so Kimmie... So, I mean, I guess she was admitted. We don't even see her get admitted or if she just ran into the hospital. But she goes and finds Rain and is talking to her. And Rain's telling her, you shouldn't be here. But before she gets there...
Well, this is where Beauty in Black becomes a science fiction series.
Because when Kimmie walks into whatever ward, it really did look like in the 1980s when they were afraid of the patients with HIV/AIDS and they just put them in the basement with some shower curtains. She gets to the
clown ward,
to the nurses station of this ward, and there are 3 employees, people wearing scrubs. Rain says they're nurses, standing there, and Kimmie says, "I'm here to see Rain," and all 3 nurses start laughing.
They're tittering like schoolgirls. My mother was a nurse. There are no nurses that behave this way.
Anyway, well, so 3 put together,
there are none. No,
I'm sure there are, people shaking their head and laughing and mocking people, but like
there are raggedy people in every
they're raggedy people, but like 3 of them standing right there with Kimmie. It's just so stupid.
They laugh in her face, and then she goes, "What?" And then they laugh again.
And then Kimmie just walks in because they go, well, she's over there. And then Rain is telling Kimmie, there are no doctors here. The nurses keep laughing at me and pointing.
And they're not giving her pain meds.
And they're not giving me any pain meds. And then Rain explains that she has blood clots and they're big and they're going to go to her lungs and she's going to die. And Kimmy's like, don't say that. That's not going to happen.
And then she proceeds to sit there with. I find it funny when characters that are written to be as eternal victims all of a sudden they're trying to stand up for themselves in ways that are quite ineffectual. Because Rain is like, "You're gonna have to leave. They don't want you to be here anymore." And Kimmy's like, "I don't care." Like, "Oh, okay. Now you don't care.
Okay.
Okay."
All right. Episode 3 is where we meet another family member. So Rico Ross and Richard Lawson have a sister played by Debbie Morgan. And she left the she's like, she still owns shares of Bellarie Beauty, but she doesn't want to be involved in like the day-to-day stuff. So she found a new career as a pastor.
Wait, she's a sister? I thought she was the mother, i.e., the ex-wife of Rico's character.
You're right. I messed that up. She is the ex-wife of Rico Ross.
Yes, Debbie.
But she still is part of the family and owns shares of Bellarie Beauty. Okay. She's working now as a pastor. She has this church.
It's not a church, Joseph. It's a sanctuary.
Oh, you're right. Because we meet her because we enter a sanctuary and we see her walking and she's wearing all white, very saved, sanctified, and Holy Ghost feeling.
Very Gandalf.
She's or is that Harry Potter?
That's Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Anyway, she's walking down the aisle talking to like a person out of screenshots saying, the sanctuary is closed, but if you need food, we're serving free meals in the mess hall. And then when she gets closer to the person, she realizes it's Richard Lawson, her ex-brother-in-law. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what are you doing here? I need to know if one of your raggedy ass sons ran over my wife. And she's like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. And if one of these boys ran over my wife, I'm going to take this family down. And she's like, please, you got to explain to me what you're talking about. So we see her get into her Jaguar convertible and pull up to a mansion that looked like, didn't it look all green screen?
It did, but
it looked so fake.
The thing about this introduction of Debbie and Richard is that he already suspects that the daughter was murdered or hit and run on the his wife on the private road. She was found in an impound lot where someone was murdered at the entrance to that lot. And there, at this point in the narrative, to this character's perspective, he would not have any.
Well, you know what they should have done? They should have explained that she was wearing her running outfit. Even though we as the audience know that, we don't know that Richard knows that. So you're right. It seems crazy that he would automatically assume
that she was hit and run on the private road.
If someone told me like, oh, Wednesday, if the police contacted me and said your husband was hit by a car Wednesday at noon, I would assume that you were out for your daily jog.
Sure.
So, I mean,
but this is where the writing is so bad because there needs to be like she only runs one place.
No, I agree with you. There's not enough context for us to understand why this character would immediately assume.
Richard Lawson tells Debbie Morgan, well, sometimes she'd run in the park and sometimes she'd do that. So
but would she run at night in the middle of a rainstorm?
On the private road?
On a private road.
So she was just stupid. Okay.
So yes, I 100% agree with you, but
like a big dumb turkey bird.
I'm trying not to say all the writing is shit, but it's hard not to.
It's very hard.
Okay, so we pull up to this CGI mansion,
mm-hmm.
and it's beautiful. It's like modern, and she's in her beautiful Jaguar convertible. We see that whomever lives here has a garage with like a Lamborghini, a Cybertruck, some kind of classic car. It's really cute. But as soon as she gets out of her car and we look into this house, because it's modern, so it's all windows, we see a man having sex with another person. Yes. Like doggy style.
Very Noah's Ark.
And he's posing, like he's putting his hands behind his head. Like immediately I assumed it was gay sex, but you couldn't tell immediately.
I assumed it was immediately too.
But then she walks in and just barges in on the person, and it turns out to be her son, who is in fact having sex with a man. And she's like, stop this nasty shit. And like she grabs the guy who I'm sure was a rando hookup. She grabs his wallet and says, oh, your name is blah, 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 and you live at 123 Main Street, like threatening him. And it's like, bitch.
But why?
I'm out and gay. Like, your
Right.
son is the one who we can blow up his spot. That made no sense to me.
Well, yeah, because she's like, do you want to tell him who knows his information? I'd be like,
Bitch, I know your information. Why not put you on blast that the fucking priest or preacher, whatever her title is of this church, is out here?
I needed that trade to give a Glenn Close deliverance moment and be like, then do it, bitch. Like, I
Right.
don't care that you know my name.
Right. That didn't make any sense to me. Again, the writings of a very rich closeted gay man who thinks that that's how you keep people quiet.
And
I am praying that some closeted famous rich gay man tries to pressure me to out me because we had sex. Oh my god.
oh yeah, let's get into that,
There will
please.
be a YouTube live video coming in 3, 2, 1.
Get my little lawyers on speed dial, and here we go.
But anyway, she's like, get your ass dressed. You need to come down to the board meeting. Okay.
Well, first she quizzes him about the public road or the private road.
And then she goes out to the cars and looks to
Yes.
see if there's any damage, and there's not. So
And then
she's like, okay.
This beautiful house with the garage that's bigger than the house.
Well, yeah, from the outside, it looked like the house was tiny.
Just have
But
these
then we
nice
get in,
cars.
it's like, oh, this looks much bigger. Also, the house looked two storage when we get in.
Mhm.
But from the outside, it looks like a single level home. It just looks so crazy. Okay.
I will say Debbie Morgan looks lovely.
Oh, Debbie Morgan looks fantastic. She was recently on the Sherry Shepherd show, and she's funny though. She seems crazy.
Mhm.
Because she's been married like more than once.
Well, and of course, Debbie Morgan and Richard Lawson just starred in another Tyler Perry production this year in Divorce in the Black as a married couple. Oh, and side note, if you have not seen Richard Lawson as a young man, such as the film, you need to see Scream, Blackula Scream. He was pretty fly in the 70s.
She's been married 4 times, but yeah, she talked about her and Richard Lawson's working relationship, that they always play like a married couple and they have a great relationship. And she said it was really fun for her. And I'm assuming she had a lot of fun.
She
doing
seems,
this.
she seems like she's having fun.
Oh yeah.
But again, you can tell that she's a seasoned performer as compared to like, I'm sorry to say it, but the actors playing Mallory and Kimmie, who just seem to be kind of like pinballs in Tyler Perry's Broken Machine.
Oh yeah, Richard Lawson does look good, and well, he's still handsome, so
Yeah, but
I would believe it.
But his hair in that, and these little outfits, and yeah, he was cute.
Okay, so you were there when I found out that we were still like it's in episode 3, all the stuff that has happened, we're still the day after the accident.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I was flabbergasted that it's only been we're still like all of this happened last night. Okay. So we get to Bellarie Beauty and Black's corporate offices, which are again all green screen. I think it's so weird that because this building is all glass and windows, so we're looking at downtown.
Indianapolis?
No, they're in Chicago.
Oh, they're in
because they're the
Chicago now?
richest family in Chicago. It all looks like, it doesn't even look like green screen. It looks like like a painted backdrop, like a digital backdrop,
Like a 1950s
yes,
studio production.
But they are meeting and trying to figure out like what happened, and that's when Rico Ross is there.
Well, before that, Debbie storms in there and talks to Mallory.
She talks to Mallory, and Mallory pretends like she doesn't know what's going on, and then Roy comes in and she tells him, I'm not talking to you, her son. I'm only talking to Mallory. So she leaves. And that's when Roy is confronted by Mallory about the whore again. And she's like, I heard you on the phone. You're so stupid. Do you know how stupid you are? And this dialogue is so simple.
He's like, I don't think that you got a phone call. It's like, fool, look at your phone. You can
oh my
see
God. The dialogue is so simple, stupid, and repetitive.
Yes.
And then she's like, you are so dumb. Yes, you did call me. And then she goes, call my wife. And then the phone starts ringing. And then he can't figure out how that happened. So he goes to his gay brother,
who he doesn't even get along with.
Who he does not get along with. And he's like, help me. That scene was so poorly written. And the brother's like, it's probably because you have AI turned on. It just is like, what?
But okay, so Roy and Charles, who are brothers, who aren't that far apart in age, they would both be they would both know how to operate their phone.
Roy
Okay.
is the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business, and he can't figure out
He might be miserable
why
being a
his
CEO,
phone.
but none of this tracks.
We also, speaking of phones, when the family is together meeting, the gay one, what's his name?
Charles, played by Stephen G. Norfleet.
Who I didn't think was very good either. He's on his phone. And so his dad, Rico Ross, grabs his phone. And clearly the son is on some gay sex app. And so hearing Rico Ross say, like, you know, very sexual things, like messages that his son is sending. And then he's like being homophobic, Rico Ross,
Mhm.
which totally tracks.
Yeah, it
And he's
does.
telling the mom, Debbie Morgan, it's your fault he's like this. And the son is like, it's not. And of course, Debbie Morgan's like, shut up. And the son's like, it's neither of your fault that I'm gay. And ugh. Okay.
But again, that also thinks so. Rico Ross's character, that the attitude and all of that energy tracks, but this man would be doing much more behind the scenes than whatever's going on with Kimmy and this stripper.
Also, keep in mind that this board meeting starts with other executives or whomever who work for Bellarie Beauty.
Right.
So there are white folks in the boardroom. And I just thought, not y'all showing out in front of these white folks. And then finally,
do you know what those white people would do?
I'll go to HR.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I would do. Like, I feel like I'm.
Because Mallory's like, okay, y'all can leave.
And then Mallory does not sound like an educated businesswoman.
No.
But it's not her. I mean, it's the dialogue.
It's the
so
script,
poorly
yes. Mm-hmm.
written. Okay. Then, so they're talking about this, and then the lawyer who Mallory calls, I recognize him. His name is Terrence something, and I don't know what I recognize him from, but Mallory calls him, okay, Attorney Smith. Like, what? She goes, you have an update for us. And he's like, yeah, there are like 48 people so far in this class action suit. And I think it's Debbie who says we should settle.
Mm-hmm.
And Rico Ross says, you are so stupid. If we settle, like that's not. Well,
there's going to be more.
There's going to be more. And then Mallory's like, well, let's hear what the attorney says. And he's like, well, the insurance will cover up to $100 million. And then they go, well, how much are these people asking for? And he's like 1.5 billion with a B. And they're like, well, that'll bankrupt us. Yeah. So then they kind of sort of end on that. But then Richard Lawson busts into the boardroom talking about, I want to know who hit my wife. And that's the end of the episode. But there's a very important scene because Kimmy's stupid ass, who had been told, do not take Rain in the hospital, keep a low profile, don't talk, definitely don't go there. Mm-hmm. Kimmie acknowledges I can't go to the hospital. That's why she asked Rico Ross to go.
He still hasn't made it.
He says he's going to do it and then still hasn't made it. We're in the same day. Like,
well, he had this board meeting.
Right. So Kimmy's dumbass, of course, went to the hospital. All the nurses saw her. So as she's walking out of the hospital, guess who's waiting for her outside in his Range Rover? Jules.
There's no way Jules is able to be Johnny on the spot like this.
He's everywhere.
No,
because he was at he was at the headquarters,
mm-hmm.
and now he's at anyway.
And Jules kind of knows the tea
about the hit and run.
Yes.
Well, he knows for sure. He tells Roy. No, he tells Mallory
over the phone, and she's like, "I'm not gonna." He's like, "This is a secure line." How?
A secure line?
Okay.
How do you know she's not recording you? Anyway, he tells her, bitch, get in this car. And she reluctantly gets in.
She stands up to these raggedy nurses, but Jules, no.
Oh, it's important to know that after the whole call my wife AI phone debacle, that's when Roy realizes that Kimmie set his ass up. So Roy goes to Jules, who's at Bellarie Beauty headquarters, and says, you need to set me up with that bitch again because she needs to pay for what she did. So when Jules picks her up, he's mad at her for being at the hospital. He's telling her that she fucked up and that he can kill her if he wanted to. And then she's trying to insist, like, I'm not going to tell. I didn't do anything. And then they're in the driveway, like when you go to drop off people in the emergency room, like that circular driveway. He pulls off in his car, and there's an ambulance parked perpendicular to his car.
Somehow,
it doesn't even make sense that this ambulance would be parked this way.
No EMTs on site.
No. And then he's telling Kimmie, get out of the car and stand in front of the ambulance.
He needed better directions. I thought he meant stand in front of, like by the headlights. But
so she stands in front of the ambulance, and then he's going to run into her, like kill her in broad daylight in this hospital parking lot where there are people casually walking by.
Where there's CCTV, probably. They're by a hospital, okay? There's a lot of cameras usually.
He backs up and then like punches the gas to run into her, and then the car comes to a screeching halt, and then he screams, all these safety features, I can't kill a motherfucker no more. I thought that was
terrible.
Beyond terrible.
It's terrible, Muriel. It's terrible.
Also, how in the hell did no one... We literally see hospital staff casually walking by while this happens.
Mm-hmm.
Does he own all the staff that he can just brush everything under the rug?
Hell no. That doesn't make any sense.
I hate this character of Jules.
Because
I hate him.
If he had these kind of powers, why is he wasting his time with these dummies at this beauty industry that are set to implode?
And why is he so like... Why is he so involved? I just don't even understand how he's doing everything. How are you running strip clubs, running prostitutes, probably running drugs, working for these people, covering up murders, attempted murders, and then he's also the head of security. So I'm sure...
Is this Tyler Perry's version of the magical Negro?
We also... Oh my God, it's so crazy. Plus all the, like, I guess there's security surrounding... They live on so they have a private road on a piece of land that has 7, I think we're told, 7 mansions.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we get to Rico Ross's house, his home is gated with security out front.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's all too much. It's all too much.
I had a note from the last, I think it's from the first episode. It's either from the first or second, but I forgot to bring it up in the last recording. But Michelle, or Mallory Bellarie has a line.
God.
Image is everything, and I will kill to protect it. What? Why? But why? Why do you...
we see when in episode 3, when we first see Mallory, she's at home with Roy, and they're arguing. Like, she slaps him, and he says that's cute, and he's like, she says, "Stop! I need you to stop seeing that whore." And he says, "That's funny. You think you can tell me what to do?" Something like that. And then someone's phone starts ringing.
This is in the morning.
He
has just gotten up. He lights a cigarillo and gets some brown liquor,
and then says, "I need to take a shower." She's fully done up, and the way this lady looks, it looks like it takes her 2 hours to get ready.
Right. So she's been up since 3 a.m.
So she's been up since 3 a.m. And this is the night after she thinks she killed someone.
Oh yeah, completely calm about
and
that.
Drove to Indiana and had her car towed. Don't know how. Anyway, the phone starts ringing and she tells him, pick it up. And then he's like, I got to take a shower. So then she goes and there's a phone and she picks it up and it's her phone. Why would she tell him to pick up her phone?
I think Jules says, like, I just tried calling him.
Oh.
It's just bad writing. That's all it is. Like,
I am hate watching this series at this point, but I'm enjoying talking about it. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I can only imagine what's in store for us.
Yay. Ta-ta. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We just finished episode 4 of Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, now streaming on Netflix.
Yeah, and I'm actually just looking at the poster for Tyler Perry's and Medea's destination wedding.
A new one?
Yeah, it's coming out next
What?
year.
Oh, well, what is this episode about? Olivia plays hardball to protect her sons. Angel comes to Kimmie with a daring proposal. As the lawsuit escalates, Mallory contemplates her options.
That Angel's proposal is not daring. You know that exactly the moment he finds out that Rico Ross has money, you know that's coming.
Oh, right, right. And Olivia playing hardball to protect her son. So Olivia's Debbie Morgan. But let's just start from the beginning. So the episode opens with them still in that boardroom after Richard Lawson at the end of episode 3 barges in.
I thought the episode recap was still going on. I'm like, we're just
it
off to
just
the
kept,
races.
yeah,
Okay.
it was seamless.
Oh, seamless, unlike anything else in his filmography. Seamless.
But Richard is saying, like, again, the script is so repetitive. But he's like,
Yes.
which one of y'all killed my sons? And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. And then Rico and Richard, we get a full-on exposition dump, but we find out that they have a very contentious relationship. And Richard tells Rico, his brother, you're a son of a bitch. Rico goes, well, that would be our mother. But anyway, what's the main thing we learn? That, of course, Rico is the business mind and Richard is the PhD in chemistry.
Dangerous minds. Yes.
So we find out that, I guess, early on, after they started the company, Rico tried to screw over Richard by taking the company away from him.
Mm-hmm.
But Richard sued him and retained his ownership. And he says that Rico's never been able to forgive him, which made me think, what is his like participation in the company?
Well, you created a cancer-causing formula, and what else you doing?
Oh, Rico tells Richard, what chemist doesn't know what shit causes cancer? And it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, sure, there are.
Oh, an ad popped up somewhere.
Yes, of course, there are things that are known to be carcinogenic, but it's just funny to me. Like, well, I don't know, the same chemist who can't cure cancer? I don't know. Like, this dialogue. We also have Rico being extremely homophobic. Well, Rico and Richard calling the gay one a booty pirate or what.
A fruitcake.
And a fruitcake.
And talking about letting some man get hunched up on your backside. This is dialogue that is written by a self-loathing homosexual.
Well,
there's no other way around it. It's like for the first time, it feels like Mr. Perry has allowed himself.
He's living vicariously through these characters.
Explore this, and you know what? He's telling on himself in this episode with that watch, which we can get into.
We're gonna get to it, but before Richard stomps out that boardroom, he says, if my wife dies, I'm going to burn this motherfucker down. Then we get to the parking garage, and you asked a very good question. Are we on the executive level of the parking garage? Because we see that we're in this big parking garage, like maybe subterranean. And the only cars in this big-ass garage are the cars that belong to Richard, the gay characters. One, and Debbie. So I just thought that looked so weird.
Debbie.
But you have Debbie screaming. So there must not be anyone else around because she's screaming how dangerous Richard is. And she just can't stop saying it.
But right before that, you have Richard Lawson screaming in the hallway to Jules, find out which one of the brothers did it.
Ugh.
Like, what?
These people have no professionalism. How are you running? Like, I mean, earlier I said multi-billion. We don't know how much this corporation's worth, but it must be a big deal if they're giving out $1 million scholarships. But they must have an HR department. They must have, like, they just act like it's like Goodfellas. I don't understand how they're behaving this way. Okay, so after we leave the Beauty in Black headquarters, now we're in Kimmie's motel room. And she gets a call from her mom. And we know that because the phone says mom. Mm-hmm. And then we see her mom, who now is just sitting there with her hair blown out, asking Kimmie for money.
I maintain this woman still looks nice.
She does look nice. But she's still in that raggedy apartment with her abusive man, Frank, the one who molested Kimmie when she was 17 or younger. And she's asking Kimmie for money. Like, I know you make all that money. Kimmie says, well, I'm not going to visit you if Frank is still there. So then they just hang up.
Well, she's like, don't come here. You don't need to come here.
And Kimmy's like, I love you, Mom. And her mom goes, okay.
This, you know what it kind of, it's like Tyler Perry watched Greenleaf and he's like, I can do this, a black empire. And then
He's like, I know if I mix Greenleaf with Empire and make it even more vulgar, I'll have a hit on my hands, which I guess he technically did. So you already alluded to this watch. So the watch that Angel, the sexy stripper, stole from Rico Ross's character when he hooked up with him at Kimmy's motel room, he stole that watch. That watch, Angel looked it up, and apparently it's worth $1.2 million. Who would wear a $1.2 million watch to a strip club / hookup? And then, like you said, maybe Tyler Perry
maybe
has
Tyler
done
Perry.
that.
This has happened to him, I believe, because he thinks this is not abnormal. Why would you? Oh, especially when you're pretending not to be, so that the people at the strip joint can't catch on that he's a whale and then try to con his ass out of shit. So why would he be wearing a $1.2 million watch in the strip club? And then, see, this watch is a bad MacGuffin, because then it comes back because Kimmie, who's stripping, she's on the pole and she's called into the VIP lounge area that apparently he's donated to the strip club, and she just has the watch. Where was it?
Where was she keep? We see she has one cigarette and a lighter in her titty meat, but where does she? So you can only imagine where the watch was,
because Delinda came and got her off the box, like, hey baby, you're not making any money out here, and escorts her directly to him. So she had the watch on her person.
Oh, also when the strip club madam yanks her ass off the pole because she's telling her you're not making any money, as men are actively throwing money at her.
There's money that is thrown on the ground.
And she gets off the strip pole, grabs one bill. All the other money's just sitting there on the floor. It makes no sense to me. She goes to the VIP room, and we have to remember that Kimmie thinks that Rico Ross's character is like the boss of this operation. But we learned, getting back to Olivia, Debbie Morgan's character playing hardball, she threatens Richard Lawson. Mm-hmm. She goes to him and says that, like, I'm begging you, don't hurt my sons. And Richard is not relenting. He even tells her, you think God listens to you even after you and I fucked around? So apparently Richard had an affair with Debbie Morgan's character.
And then his wife, the one that's lying in that hospital bed, knew about it. And then Debbie Morgan, bless Debbie Morgan, I do like her, but she's like, hold on a second, puts down her purse, and I believe the envelope is already in her hand.
Oh, there's no staging. There's no direction. It's just like, hold this shit, bitch, and read these lines. And she says, you're trying to make me be the bitch I used to be. But then she shows, in this manila envelope, I don't know what could have been in there, because she just says all of the things. She basically, again, another exposition dump. Expedition. Another Ford expedition dump is that Debbie Morgan reveals to the audience and reminds Richard that he's the one running this sex trafficking thing with Richard Lawson, that they're making millions of dollars smuggling stuff here and there, and that they're like basically threatening these women by incarcerating them, and that Debbie Morgan is going to like blow up his spot if he hurts her sons.
It does not sound like surefire blackmail, let me tell you.
And we had to stop the episode to write down what he says after she threatens him. Mm-hmm. He goes, this is Richard Lawson talking to Debbie Morgan in the hospital with his his wife in critical condition sitting in the bed between them. He goes, I don't give a fuck when it comes to somebody fucking with someone I love. Why do you keep trying to protect those horrible motherfuckers? And Debbie goes, because they are my horrible motherfuckers, motherfucker.
We got ours in there.
Tyler Perry's a poet, because this is embarrassing.
I don't know that he deserves that title.
I'm being funny. It's ridiculous.
Also, poetry doesn't get you money. So I guess
this is, I mean, this is the kind of writing we're getting. But going back to the strip club, so like you said, Rico Ross shows up with his cane, limping into the VIP. Kimmie runs in there, gives him his watch, pulled it out of her crevices. I don't know where.
But and she's all sour.
And she's sour because I got sidetracked. We have to remember that she believes that Rico Ross is running this shit.
Mm-hmm.
But as the audience, we know it's Richard Lawson now.
Mm-hmm.
So she is having like, she has a stank attitude with him. And then he gets mad. And she's like, well, then leave then. Because again, she thinks that he owns her.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why she has an attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets up to leave. And guess who he sees? His gay nephew in the strip club talking to Angel, the sexy stripper.
It's not his nephew. This is
it's
son.
his son.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah. The two children he had with Debbie Morgan, right?
You're right. I cannot keep these people like the sons because they're so peripheral.
But even like talking about the repetition, he asks Kimmie twice what's wrong with her. She says twice in a matter of seconds, "Are you running a game on me?" Like it's like, you know, the mechanism in the film Cuckoo.
Yes.
When the cuckoo late mama bird comes around and does her little trilling, and then we flash back 13 seconds or whatever, and we have to fucking repeat what just happened. It's like, what the hell are we dancing around these? Oh, the dialogue. It just.
Then we get a scene with Mallory Bellarie talking to her lawyer, Terrell Carter.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, what would happen if the lawsuit gets filed? Well, we'll have to file bankruptcy. Really? I think there'd be a few steps before.
Yeah, just because they file.
Just because they file a lawsuit doesn't mean you file bankruptcy.
Mega corporations have sustained that have gone on for years with filed lawsuits.
And then Mallory goes, well, should I start transferring assets? And he's like, no, that'll be like a red flag. They'll find that out in discovery. Again, I'm confused. Like, if a class action lawsuit would be attacking the corporation. So I don't know if she means like, I'm assuming she meant like sell shares of the company while it still has some value before it tanks. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like, and Tyler Perry's an extremely wealthy man. Okay, there are a couple of topics you would think he'd know a lot about. You would think he would know a lot about being a closeted gay man. Yeah. You would think he would know a lot about finances. You would think he would know a lot about like an abusive household.
And no romance without finance for sure.
Right. But then it's like, so this man who owns this, I mean, he's a billionaire. You would think that he would at least be able to write those components well. No, it makes no sense what's happening. So the lawyer is telling Mallory, well, I'm your lawyer. You know, I can't advise you to do anything illegal. And she goes, well, let's go have a drink. They go to have a drink. And she's like, okay, off the record. Do you want to fuck me? And he's like, that would be highly inappropriate. And clearly he's not trying to do that. So she gets mad.
Also, they both have full plates of food that are like just sitting there.
I can believe that Mallory wasn't eating.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Not Terrell. And that food looked good.
It looked good. It was to the side. He didn't even take a bite of that.
He didn't even touch it. So, and then she expresses that my husband doesn't have sex with me. I just want someone to want me. And he's like, well, it's not going to be me, bitch. So she gets mad, leaves. And her driver and assistant are waiting for her.
There's a backstory with them as well.
Okay, so the driver and the assistant, who we have to remember, it was in episode 1 where she kicks them out of the car.
Yes.
Don't know why they work for her.
Because Calvin, played by Shannon Wallace, I thought I confused him with the actor playing Roy based on the thumbnails I was looking at. But yes, but they are both chained to the hip, though, working for they're always together.
And then we find out that they live, again, this woman, I mean, if she's like a Kylie Jenner, like runs a $1 billion beauty brand, you would think she would behave professionally. No.
But I forgot to mention in the episode 3, she corrects her husband's grammar. Well, makes fun of it, saying like how he talks like that with education, but she sounds
more stupid than stupid. Like just like she does not sound like an executive businesswoman who has any qualifications.
She sounds unvarnished.
Yes.
Okay.
But she tells, so then we find out that the assistant, Mallory's assistant and driver, they're a couple and they live in like well, first they say the other staff is going to hear us, but then Mallory says, go back to your apartment above the garage. So I guess
Shaming her.
all the staff live in like
Close proximity. Joseph, the woman playing Jillian is
the assistant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joy Roveris, before we drag her. Also played Bobby Christina in a 2017 TV movie.
Okay, we'll get back to her. Okay. But Mallory leaves the restaurant and, she's wanting to have sex with a man who finds her attractive. So she tells the driver, take me home, and then tells her assistant, bitch, you find your own way home. So, of course, the assistant is, and the audience, we know, like, oh, because she wants to have sex with the driver. So they do. And they just pull off to the side of the road in what looks like a very, like,
it's
basic.
It looks well lit.
A very well lit, basic residential area. And then guess who rolls by in an Uber?
Julian.
The assistant. Mm-hmm. Okay. How would you describe her acting? I wrote down she seems psychotic. I wrote down that she seems like she hears voices and she's hallucinating. There's a moment when she's explaining to Roy, or to her boyfriend, the driver, because we find out in the beginning of the episode that she was about to perform oral sex on Roy before the gay brother interrupted them. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. How would you describe her acting style?
As then she should try another profession. Oh.
Maybe she should do ASMR, because when she's trying to explain to her man that, yes, I was going to perform oral sex on him, she's like, yes, I was going to perform oral sex on him, but then the brother came in and interrupted me, so I couldn't do it. And then she's gesticulating and making weird like facial expressions.
It's just unfortunate because she's not being directed by somebody that knows what they're doing. So maybe she would be better in something else. I don't know, but she's acting as if she's like a terrified chihuahua with a wig on compared to
the
Calvin.
Faces she's making when she drives by in that Uber. She seems unwell.
The whimpers, the tears. I mean,
and then she's waiting in Mallory's driveway when she pulls up with the driver, and she basically kind of confronts her like, oh, let me fix your blouse.
But in a passive way.
And Mallory's like, bitch, get away from me and go back to your apartment above the garage. And so she talks to her husband and they start arguing, or her boyfriend. Okay.
You were saying Mallory. I'm like, her nose job is sure nose jobbing.
Mallory's nose job is jobbing.
It is, she's contoured to the heavens. And yes, at certain angles, it's like, whoa.
Her profile's pretty extreme.
We're altered.
Yeah. I mean, she's, it's funny because she's the kind of lady who I think like gay men would think is fabulous, but it's like, she's very skinny and plastic. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, she looks like a Barbie doll. But I mean, it's just like the problem a lot of white women have too. It's like you mold your face into,
shapes,
plastic replica of something else. You can only believably play a person of means.
Speaking of, I wrote down a lot of shitty dialogue, but when Mallory's talking about Roy, she goes, he's the worst of the damn worst.
Oh, God. And this is where she's like, the sex scene with Calvin is really bad.
The driver.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the back of her car.
It's not sensual at all. It made me uncomfortable.
Yes.
Well, and not in like a thrilling way.
No, like most things are making me like kind of like Debbie Morgan pulling her son off of another man while he's inside him.
Or Debbie Morgan cussing like
a lot.
Because also she's supposed to be like, what did you call
Christian?
Yeah, but what did you call her position? She's in episode 1 you said,
oh, in the sanctuary.
Yeah, but she's like a prophet. Anyway, then we get to the strip club. Kimmie shows up for work late, and then you have the madam screaming at her. And she's getting dressed in the back, and her legs are all bruised up, and Body is like antagonizing her. She goes out to strip butt.
Wait, no, some other one of her coworkers is like, your legs are all bruised up. You better put makeup on them. And then she is dressing in a way that's like when I was in 7th grade in the boys' locker room.
She's getting undressed in a very modest way, but it's like, bitch, you're about to go out there and have your titties and ass out. Why are you like, she's getting undressed like she doesn't want anyone to see her breasts, but it's like you're literally about to be topless and all the other women are topless. It's just so awkward.
So
but
dumb.
while she's doing all that, then we cut to Body and the madam. I keep Belinda. Is that her name?
Delinda.
Oh, Delinda.
Mm-hmm.
They're at the host.
Not Berlinder.
They're at the host stand cackling like two gremlins. And then you have Body like, look at their books and see what the bitch owe. And then we find out that, and again,
it's just at the front, this book.
Right. The tone is so crazy because these two are acting like they're in like, you know what who they remind me of?
Flotsam and Jetsam.
Or Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
And we find out that Kimmie owes $237,000.
And then they find out that Jules just makes up whatever price.
And that Jules just adds shit on randomly.
Like,
and then we find out that Rain.
If I was in her position and somebody did that to me, I'm pretty sure I'd resort to murder.
Yeah, just put me back in prison then.
Yeah, like I don't need
if I'm going to go anyway, I might as well go out with a bang. And then we find out Rain owed $400,000. And then we hear that Delinda and Body were also in the same situation and owed. Delinda says she only owed $80,000. Can you imagine Delinda stripping?
I don't know how she made that.
I don't know how she got up on the box. Oh, speaking of that, when Kimmie was trying to get undressed, we had Body in the back trying to convince another girl to get ass shots. Mm-hmm. And she says the only reason that Rain got sick is because she had asthma.
Because that makes okay. We need to return to how Tyler Perry personifies disease solely through coughing.
Oh well, let's do that now. So the proposition that you already made fun of is that Angel's telling Kimmie, well, he's rich, let's play his ass. So why don't you tell him I want to see him? Oh, because I didn't mention, while Rico was at the strip club and he gets upset with Kimmie and is about to leave, he opens the curtain to the VIP and he sees his son
Charles.
Oh, that's right, we did mention it, but I messed it up. So he's like, oh my god, I can't go out there, my son can't see me here, especially since this morning I was dragging him for being gay. So Kimmie has to go out there and tell Angel, get rid of this clown. Mm-hmm. And then Angel says, well, tell him I want to see him.
Side note, a gay man like Charles I don't think would be picking up trade at this strip club.
I doubt that. I mean, I doubt it too, but you know,
Tyler,
no, I don't know.
That anyway, man has other outlets.
Anyway,
mm-hmm.
Kimmie tells Rico Ross's character, Angel wants to see you. Well, why? What do you think, stupid? He wants money. Okay, so all three of them meet at Kimmie's motel room. Mm-hmm. And we have to start with the stripping. It was the most unsexy, like, so we have Angel stripping for Rico Ross.
Did you know science class in like junior high or high school and you had to look at like one-celled organisms moving around?
Oh, I was going to say, remember when you would buy the little packet of things that you add to water and they get big? He reminded me of that, like how something that's being rehydrated moves. And you know, that actor is very attractive.
Yeah, he's handsome,
and we see him naked minus his penis. But it's like, even with this very attractive man who's mostly naked, I was looking at him like, this is so embarrassing.
This is so nuts.
This is so embarrassing. And then let's get to how Tyler Perry. So we first got, well, the most prominent glimpse of this in my mind with Tyler Perry is the movie For Colored Girls.
Yes.
Because Janet Jackson's character
has AIDS.
Well, she's married to a man who's on the DL, mm-hmm. having sex with a man.
Good old Maury Hardwick, yeah.
But he's doing the bending.
Mm-hmm.
And so Janet, as a result, because Tyler likes to punish gay people or people who are slutty by giving them HIV. Mm-hmm. So in this instance, Janet is an unfortunate side effect of that because she ends up getting HIV. Mm-hmm. And throughout the movie, her character is coughing like Nicole Kidman in Moulin Rouge.
Or Julian Moore in End of the Affair.
And then in this movie, Rico Ross's character is coughing like that. Yeah. But he has prostate cancer so far. Maybe he would you die if you find out that Rico Ross has HIV? You know what? I'm willing to bet.
That could be knowing Tyler Perry's writing skills. Just like he likes to say VD in his
Instead of STI.
instead of STI or STD.
So Rico Ross's character's coughing while poor Angel Xavier Smalls is doing his little sad striptease.
He's got consumption like what's the stripper or what's the prostitute in Crime and Punishment? Sofia Semenova.
Rico Ross coughs up blood all over Angel's pubis.
Yeah.
And of course, Angel freaks out, runs to the bathroom, uses up Kimmie's white motel towels, which the housekeeper already got mad about.
The housekeeper's not replacing those.
She said, I'm not replacing any more bloody towels. You better use the black towels.
So, what black towels?
Right. Ain't no black towels in here. So then we see Angel rubbing off his pubic mound, trying to get blood off of it.
And then he's like, are you contagious, bro?
And Rico just goes, come on, man.
He asked, again, because it's double storm dialogue. He asked him twice if it's contagious.
Entendre, bring me a drink and make it a double.
Yeah.
That's how Tyler Perry's writing is like that.
Oh.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not that good because I don't think he can even form good double entendres.
There are no zingers.
But anyway, so that all happens. Okay. And then the episode just ends. There's no.
Well, there's a reveal. There's a reveal.
What's the reveal? The end really is that Kimmie goes to the hospital to see Rain.
Now that she knows that she can just go to the hospital.
Now she knows she can just go. And we don't see, we do see Jules in the beginning, but that's it. She goes to the hospital and Rain's bed is empty and the patient in the bed next to it says she dead. Damn. The end.
The clots got her.
Okay, do you have any predictions besides me saying I think Rico Ross's character probably has HIV?
That's a very good prediction, especially because we are very familiar with Mr. Perry's filmography. Although I think I was the one that reminded you of Ms. Jackson having the AIDS cough, but
just can't give anyone credit.
Oh no,
full credit.
Okay, all right. Predictions? I don't know. I'd be fine with them all dying.
Well, I think someone is going to die because Richard Lawson, who Debbie Morgan reminded us of, screaming, he's dangerous for real.
I certainly hope so because I'm really tired of poor little Kimmie just being kicked like a dog from to and fro.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say about episode 4?
Oh, Terrell Carter's character is Varney. We didn't mention that. And I think there's something you need to track down that he starred in.
Wait, well, I keep saying I know who he is, but I can't recall.
Well, he's in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, but as a reverend. But he played.
I think I've met him before. That's why. I think I've met him more than once.
He played R. Kelly.
Yeah, I think back in those 2003, 2004 days.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Diary of a Mad Black Woman was 05, so he was he's an alumnus of Mr. Perry. But he played R. Kelly.
Well, I mean,
in something that it's in a movie about Aaliyah.
Oh, is it a Lifetime movie?
I don't know what it is. I can't see where it's available, but it's from 2021 and it's called Untold: The Back and Forth Story.
We should end on that. Ta-ta. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We watched episode 5 of Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black. This episode is titled Unraveling Threads. What is it about? After Angel's world gets rocked, Kimmie reconsiders his idea. Jules pulls the family strings. Faced with a difficult choice, Norman's suspicions grow. Okay. Well, Angel's world getting rocked basically means his baby mama comes and busts the windows out of his Dodge Challenger. And then Kimmie reconsidering his idea means like, yeah, let's go rob Rico Ross. Jules pulling the family strings. I mean, I'm not quite sure what he's doing at this point, except that all of the members of the Bellarie family go to him to get like their dirty deeds done dirt cheap. So I don't.
But they're all trying to wound each other, so it really makes no sense that they all. That's like, when if you're getting divorced and you both have the same lawyer.
Right,
You
exactly.
need
So
different people, points of
exactly.
contact. Angel's world getting rocked when that lady comes and busts up his car with her brothers.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
And then faced with a difficult choice, Norman's suspicions grow. The difficult choice is that we'll get to exactly how this happened, but Norman is Richard Lewis. His wife is in a medically induced coma.
Did you say Richard Lewis?
Richard Lawson.
Like he did.
Richard Lewis is gone. Well, Ina's about to be gone too because she ends up becoming brain dead, and he has to make the decision whether to pull life support. So how could suspicions grow anymore? Straight out the gate, he's like, which one of y'all motherfuckers killed my wife? So, I mean, I don't know how much more suspicious he could be.
I think we've been beyond suspicion since Jump.
Yeah, I just don't know. Okay. So let's just go from the beginning. So the film opens.
The film. Don't give that this distinction.
This show opens up with Body, the bottom bitch at the club, shows up to Kimmie's motel with some other ladies looking for her. And she tells her, you need to be where the hell I tell you need to be. Okay.
Okay, but the setup of that is so clunky because Kimmie has been told to buzz off by both Angel and Horace, who are hooking up in her hotel room apartment, and so she leaves for an hour, and Body and associates accost her when she comes back in the gardener's truck,
and then
they take her.
Well, and the reason they're looking for her is because, remember, in the previous episode, Roy, the abusive John, he wants to see her because he believes that she set him up by calling his wife so she could overhear that he's cheating on her. We have to talk about Mallory and how paranoid she is about her husband. Everyone in this show is paranoid, like to a degree that's, I mean, it's head spinning. But like,
they're paranoid, but also really dumb.
Yes, for sure. But I mean, I just don't understand. What does it, your husband's cheating on you. You know, he parties, does drugs, hangs out with, like, I just don't know the point of her being so fixated on who's this whore you're with. Does it matter? He probably runs with numerous bitches. Like, I don't understand.
Yes, it's choosing what they're getting upset about is like, haven't you all done far worse things to each other?
Anyway, the best part of the opening with Body coming, well, first she kind of beats up Kimmie. It's like a loose ass whooping, and then throws her in the car. But I thought the funniest part of that scene is that Body and Co are driving a Chrysler Pacifica minivan. And all I kept thinking is like, so the strip club has a Chrysler Pacifica,
a work van,
like a work van
for errands.
That Tyler Perry would think that they just have a sensible family mover sitting around. Okay, so Jules goes to Richard at the hospital to try to convince him that it wasn't his nephews, because Jules, like we already mentioned, he knows everyone's dirt and he knows exactly who's responsible.
Right.
So he's trying to play this game where his alliances stay intact, like his allegiances stay intact. So he's trying to convince Richard Lewis that maybe it was someone else. He's like, well, where they found her, the impound lot attendants were murdered. So maybe she got caught up in something related to that, and it's not your nephews at all. But then we get, again, another episode with just exposition dumps, because Richard explains how the family will works, which I'm so confused by. And did you catch this? Richard says that their father set up the will so that, like, the children get the money, and if there are no children,
then it goes back to the family.
Yes. So like Richard Lawson can't assign his assets or estate to anyone. It's either his kids or it goes back to like the family trust. Okay, I'm confused, because didn't Richard and his brother Rico start the business?
Uh-huh.
Why would their father have anything to do with the estate planning of their business or their personal assets? He does say I was so stupid, but which we have to remind ourselves and the listening audience that Richard Lawson's character has a PhD in chemistry.
Yeah.
He is a scientist, presumably an intellectual indeed. And he looks and sounds so dumb. The look on his face is always like, Ado?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't understand. How could you, how did this happen that you started this very successful business
And fought your brother in court to keep it.
and you were able to fight your brother in court to keep your fair share, but somehow your will is set up in a way that doesn't make any sense? But
Right.
what, okay.
Mhm.
So Body had picked up Kimmie from the motel to take her to Roy's apartment because from the previous episode, that's what Roy wanted. So she gets there. That apartment building. Do you think it's a hotel or an apartment?
I think it's a hotel.
Because we also see the gay one staying in.
He's staying in something nicer.
Because we learned from the previous episode that his mom, Debbie Morgan, was like, your uncle's dangerous and he thinks you did it. You need to come stay with me. And he won't because he needs to be able to have his little casual encounters. So
Mm-hmm.
he says, I'll stay in a hotel. And I'm not rich, so I don't know. Maybe rich people hotels look like apartments. I don't. They're just fashioned so oddly.
Maybe it's Verbo.
But anyway, please help me get through the scene where Kimmie shows up to see Roy, because we have to remember Roy summoned Kimmie because he believes that she set his ass up, that she called his wife while they were having sex, which has made everything. I don't know how Mallory and Roy's marriage could be more shitty or on the rocks.
Or why would matter?
Why this component matter? But can you talk us through how nonsensical that scene is?
Well, she shows up and then he confronts her while he sits down and smokes a cigarette. And the scene finishes before he's done with the cigarette. And he asks her if she called his wife and she says no. And he's like, you don't know what it's like to be me.
Like,
and then begins to list off things about all his family members, including his, what does he say? His queer ass
I
brother.
got a queer ass loser as a brother.
Why does that matter about
and
you,
who
sir?
wrote that line? Like that.
Again, this was written by a self-loathing homosexual who is probably giddy at the prospect of getting to even address gay issues. So this is how it comes tumbling out, because that shit's stupid. But then she just leaves. He makes her start to strip while he touches himself, and then he can't get an erection.
And he's like, what kind of hoe can't get a man up? Well, I'm under duress and you are drunk. You know, smoking cuts circulation to your body parts. You are probably on drugs, drinking, under a lot of stress. You don't even seem like you want to be sexual. You brought me here to berate me. What? Where is an erection in that equation?
Well,
like,
right.
what's supposed to be happening? But I mean, he's a very handsome man.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe because he's so awful as the character, I think seeing him shirtless was kind of like not this. you talking a little too loud for this body of yours, and the fact that you can't even get hard, you need to lower your voice, sir. Like,
well, no
you're not gonna talk to me like that.
Well, no wonder why Mallory Bellary's just over it.
God, there's so much to talk about. Okay, but then when he's so easily convinced, when Kimmie says I didn't do it, he's like, okay, and then like you said, just starts prattling off about nonsensical shit, including like, aren't you supposed to be smart? Did you I bet you even go to college.
Well, but then he just banishes her. But what was the point of this scene?
Literally, that's my note in exclamation points and bold. This scene was pointless. What did we get from this scene?
What is it? It's not moving the story forward.
Not a single portion of that scene gave us anything we could use. Not a single line of dialogue gave us anything. We didn't learn a single thing.
No.
Except, again, this film.
And then you take the
film. I keep calling it a film.
you take up the time of Body and her associates to leave the strip club, presumably to go fetch Kimmie to bring her to Roy. Isn't Delinda mad about that?
Well, what control does Delinda have?
Well, but it's just like,
Ugh.
what? It doesn't make any sense.
So then Kimmie, like you said, goes back to her hotel, and then keeping in mind that all this time, so while all of this has happened, only like less than an hour has passed.
Purportedly, because
Purportedly.
and then all that has happened between
Angel and Rico.
Angel and Rico / Horace, after he spit up blood on him, is some gyrating dancing for hours. Because then Angel's like, oh, my baby mom has been calling me for hours.
Ugh.
So he was just dancing while Horace was sitting there looking at him. Anyway, Horace, they have a really odd exchange before Horace leaves, because he's still mad about the fact that Angel stole his watch.
You know, I don't know what it's like to be a down low brother, middle-aged. Well, I mean, Rico's a senior citizen, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know what that's like. So I can't say that this, to me, what interestingly does kind of ring true is the way Rico kind of behaves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because it's probably coming from a place of authenticity for the writer. We're just going to shade Tyler Perry this entire
There's just
series.
there's no other way to explain this.
Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting because Rico's character later on, sort of with Kimmie, explains that like he likes women.
He's had what she has.
Yeah, he can't even really say like, you know, I like pussy, or he just goes, oh, I like the parts that you have, and I've been with a lot of people who have those parts, and it's so awkward. It's like he sounds like someone who's afraid of women talking about sex with women.
I believe that. But yes, I think there are parts of his characterization which make sense.
Yeah.
But how he goes around hunting for what his needs are makes no sense, because of course, you know, the previous episode where he runs into his son, or almost does by accident, in the same strip club, a man like that would be terrified already of something like that happening. He would be finding,
well, it's I mean, it's kind of a tight-knit community in the sense that everyone knows this family. Everyone I mean, I just don't know how he thinks he can get around and people don't recognize him. But anyway, before we get back to Horace and Angel, I wanted to mention when Kimmie is at Roy's apartment and he does like the most lackluster inquisition on her, all I keep thinking is, does he not know how to check his phone to see what time that, like, was there a call made during the time that I was having sex with this woman yesterday?
Clearly not, because he was so boldly telling Mallory that never happened. It's like,
well, he also didn't know why Siri was activated. So maybe he doesn't, but also, again, you're the CEO of a very successful business and you're not old. Not that old people, you know, but the implication of like a younger person should know how to use their technology.
He's at the age where he's grown up with phones.
Right. How is it that he can't just simply see like, bitch, I can see that night when I was with you, a call was made to my wife. Mm-hmm. Like it had to be you. No, he just, all he repetitively rant about how he knows this bitch did it and then whatever. But anyway, Angel and Rico back at this hotel, and then, you know, like again, the actor playing Angel is very attractive, but him trying to be seductive is laughable. It's so uncomfortable.
It's, and then Rico's leaving.
Well, before Rico leaves, he tells Angel, well, if I want to see you again, I'll get with
Kimmy.
And then he's like, oh, so she's my pimp now? What are you talking about? Well, are you paying her? What do you mean? Are you giving her any money to see me? And he said, no. So then why? So then he's like, okay, so then why is she doing this for you? But then Rico leaves, and then you were going to say,
Kimmy's more of a broker than a pimp. But Angel pulls his penis out of his pants, like, this will be here whenever you want it.
But the way he's standing and the way Rico looks at him, and then he goes, I'm sure it will be. Like,
it's just all so underwhelming.
It's so underwhelming.
It's sleazy.
But then as Angel walks out of the motel room,
Kimmie comes in all sad, starts drinking some brown liquor out of a bottle, crying. He's not paying any attention. He's railing about everything. About
his baby mama calling him.
And then the baby mama calls and picks up the phone.
But before that happens, while he's just rambling on and Kimmie's sitting there looking dejected, that's when he says we should
he's trying to convince her to again go forward with the plan of basically conning Horace.
He says, I can't even. He goes, that man's walking around with a $1.2 million watch, and here we are. I can't even afford a car. But he has a car.
He does have a car.
And we know he does because it's the same scene where the baby mama's calling him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, where are you? I know you're with that bitch. And you can tell that it sounds like she's getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because she's rolled up to the motel. With her two brothers, she's calling them.
Mm-hmm.
None of them look related.
None of them. They might be foster brothers.
Maybe. I mean, there are all kinds of families.
There are. Okay, don't be judging that.
But it's just so like, why this choice? Like, why make more things just seem nonsense?
But also, it's like, girl, did you not see the man that left the room that was in there? What are you upset again?
Yeah, like, you were watching him. Did you not see an old man with a cane walk out of this room? What did you think he was doing in there?
But it's like Roy and Mallory. What are you choosing to be mad about? You know your man is a stripper. Sorry, exotic dancer. And
Roy Mallory.
Angel. I'm saying like Roy and Mallory are choosing to be upset over something that is like.
Oh, right. Yeah. Your man is a stripper.
So you're going to come bust up his car when you need him to help pay your bills.
He's clearly, presumably. Whatever he's doing in that motel room is for some money.
And what does it matter with it? Is it worse that it's with Kimmie than it would be with the other?
And her busting up his car, she doesn't hit the body of the car. She just busts out the windows, which I thought was funny.
Well, in case they needed to have more than one take. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a Tyler Perry film. They don't think that way.
Right.
But anyway, she also screams at him about she never wants him to come home again. And he screams at her, Angel Jr. is my son too. Yes, the name would suggest that there's no mistaking that he is your son. But again, that's just the bad writing, because the dialogue would be, somebody like that wouldn't say that. They'd say like, you can't take my son from me or something. But Angel Jr. is my son too.
And then when the baby mama decides to leave and the three of them get into the car, they roll off so slowly, like they're going through a school zone.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so initially when Jules went to go visit Richard Lawson in the hospital, Richard Lawson explained to him, oh, my wife's doing, the doctor, oh my God. Well, anyway, the doctor tells Richard Lawson, oh, your wife's doing well. I think we're going to remove her from this, or wake her up from this medically induced coma tomorrow morning.
This Mallory induced coma?
Well, it is literally a Mallory induced coma. So when Jules comes to visit Richard, Richard tells him that. And Jules like, oh shit, if this bitch wakes up, she's going to know who hit her in the dark pouring
She got the plates.
When she got hit from behind, like there's no...
Richard Lawson says, she's going to be able to tell us everything.
Well, to be fair, she did in the Aston Martin, she does wake up and open the trunk. So maybe she heard all their conversation and knew who it was. Yeah, so it's not so unbelievable.
But he says it with such confidence that she's going to be able to tell us everything. Do you know how many people wake up with, that's usually the plot device, is people wake up and they can't remember shit.
She's going to be like,
nope, zip.
Mallory did it.
I have a camera implanted in my eye and it caught everything.
Anyway, Jules goes to Rico to tell him Ina's waking up tomorrow from the coma. And Rico's all stressed out. And Jules is like, well, I can take care of it. And Rico says, no, that's too messy. I have a friend, which was so awkwardly put. He's like, he knows someone. And then he says, oh, he's the director of
foods and services. And
yeah, like food and beverage sciences or something. It was so awkward. Like, why would this super rich, isolated man know the precise job title of this person he knows at the hospital? But anyway,
and what if that man's been promoted or demoted?
So implying that he'll take care of it himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I also wrote down that, Rico Ross's character walks with a cane, and he's definitely using that prop. That the caneography is very amusing to me. But in regards to the director of food and beverage at the hospital, Rico says because Rico tells Jules, I have a favor, like he owes me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
And Jules says, what kind of favor? And Rico says, the only favors I hold is bodies buried. Ugh. I was watching Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry recently did an interview with Anderson Cooper.
Uh-huh.
So two queens having a kiki. But Tyler Perry, when he speaks, he sounds very he sounds more thoughtful and smart
because I
than
think
his writing.
Well, those things are also coming from a more authentic place.
But isn't that interesting? Because people know what I sound like, which is kind of scattered and ridiculous. But if you read my writing, I mean, I can construct concise, complete sentences and tell a story. And so I would think most people are better at writing than they are speaking.
Well,
maybe
because they have time to
think about what they're saying.
And revise.
But isn't it funny that
revision.
Tyler Perry just speaking sounds so much more intelligent than his show writing would indicate, script writing.
Well, also, I don't think I think he likes ideas and flourishes, but I don't think that he knows about writing a character.
So then we cut back. So after Rico has said that he's going to pull a favor with the hospital employee he knows, we cut back to the hospital, and Richard Lawson's there asleep on the chair with his wife. He hasn't left. And then the most friendly yet awkward nurse walks in.
I still want to see like an Eddie Redmayne good nurse.
And at first it's like, God, she is so overly chatty. And then there are these really awkward pauses where she keeps trying to talk. And I will say, once we realize what she's doing, then it makes sense. But during the scene, I was so uncomfortable. But we find out that nurse who came in, she's not really a nurse. She's the one who's supposed to kill Ina. She came in and injected something into her IV.
It doesn't kill her, though. So
it doesn't kill her. It causes her to become brain dead.
Her brain swells again. What is that? What medication is
it makes sense. Well, I don't know, because she's hooked up to those machines that are keeping track of her vitals. So I'm assuming they didn't want to give her something that would cause her to crash, because then they would catch the person who did it.
Right.
It had to be something that would kind of linger so this person can get away. But then the next morning, this is the scene that really sent me. The doctor comes in the morning, and we know that all of this happened at midnight, like the wife being poisoned. The doctor comes in the morning and tells Richard Lawson, "I'm so sorry to tell you this, but we ran some tests and your wife is brain dead." When did they run these tests?
When did the tests happen?
She was poisoned at midnight,
and they came back in.
And now it's fresh in the morning, and she's saying, "Well, we ran some tests and I'm so sorry to tell you she's brain dead." And then here we have Richard Lawson, who he looks like that one on Instagram, those memes of that white furry creature that's making the hands like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, it's some kind of little primate.
And then, Richard, his face looks a little like he looks like maybe he's lost the weight or something, but he just looks so deflated and confused.
He does.
But remember that he has a PhD in chemistry. This man is a scientist.
Yes.
This doctor is trying to explain to him that she has no brain activity. The only thing keeping her alive are these machines. A decision has to be made. And the entire scene, he's like, what? What?
Who makes the decision? I have to make the decision.
And it doesn't come across as like a grieving family member unable to make a hard decision. It comes across as like a dullard who doesn't understand what's happening.
You know what it comes across as, like when you get a really dense email and you're like, I'm not reading all that right now.
Yeah. There are so many scenes throughout this show so far where you just have characters just plopped in a place, like waiting for the camera to start rolling. And Mallory, her character, I swear every scene we catch her in, she's kind of just like awkwardly posed.
There are so many scenes on the couch in her, what are they calling it? The great room?
Her great room.
Her great room, where she's got her laptop out and it looks so uncomfortable. Girl's posture is correct. She looks good, but it's like, that's not comfortable.
No.
To be sitting like that on your laptop.
But she summons her driver to come into her home.
She goes, I can't see Roy's phone anymore.
And she immediately goes, why are you dressed like that? Because he's wearing his like uniform, his like suit. And he's like, well, I was doing something else and I had to be dressed. So like, now I'm here. What do you want? And she's dressed in like what looks like a teddy and then like a nightgown over it. And it's clear that she wants to have sex with him, but he's kind of like, I mean, do you need me to drive you somewhere? Like, what do you need? but she's trying to get information from him, like, who's that bitch my husband's with? Her character is so repetitive. How many times has she asked, who's that bitch my husband's been with? And then she asked the driver like 3 times, and he's like, ma'am, your husband has had me do stuff for him, but like, I've learned not to ask questions because both of y'all be snapping on fools. So I don't know. Like, yeah, the one time I took some lady over there, but I don't know who she is. And one time he had me like leave him alone because he didn't want me to see something. I don't know. And again, who's this bitch? You need to tell me what you know. Shouldn't the least of Mallory's worries be her cheating ass husband? This bitch killed some lady, as far as she knows. She's about to be, her company's about to be sued. And she's told that just the threat of a lawsuit will force them to file bankruptcy. She's also told she can't move around assets. So you're about to be in prison and broke. And you're worried about your husband, who you know is a philanderer, who you know ain't shit. The opening of the first time we see them together in this episode, she's yelling at him like, you ain't shit. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even have those shoes on your feet. Like, and he tries to remind her, like, well, you married into my family. When I met you, you were just a broke ass teenager. And she's like, that's true. But now I've made my own money working here. And if it weren't for me, you wouldn't have shit. Why does she care what he's doing?
Well, exactly.
Why?
So then the scene with Roy and Julian.
Oh my God.
Because Julian now is mad that her man, the chauffeur, what's his name? Calvin, is clearly sleeping with Mallory. So she goes to try to seduce Roy. And of course,
this is after Mallory tells her, what are you doing here? I don't want you in my car. The assistant's like, well, why? And again, the assistant's acting is so awkward. She's gesticulating and she has this weird Mimi voice. Like, don't know why. Well, may I ask, ma'am, why?
Mallory is telling, here's how stupid this character is. Why aren't you recording everything this bitch says to you?
And reporting her,
and giving it to the press or whoever, because Mallory's up in here
abusing her,
telling her shit, like even her tears stink, and
she's like, I don't want you sitting there. Oh, no, she goes, who are you to ask me why I don't want you to ride with me in my car? She's like, you know what, bitch, because you stink. To the point where, like, she says, I bet your tears stink. And then she goes, wait, because she's driving in like a suburban type car, like a Yukon, and Mallory's sitting in the second row that has captain's chairs. So Mallory's sitting in the seat, and she tells her assistant, you know what? Ugh, were you sitting in this chair? Oh my God, I can't even sit in this chair. Gets out of the truck, walks past her to go to the other side of the car. So out of control, disrespectful. Like you said, I would have recorded everything she said, gone down to a workman's comp lawyer.
Oh yeah.
And find myself a little lawsuit. It's unbelievable. But like you said, the assistant gets, I guess she wants to get back at her boss. So she goes back in the house to try to seduce Roy. And how does she do so? She walks into the bedroom and Roy is startled. Like, what are you doing here? Oh, Mallory said to get a dress for her. And then she goes into like, Mallory, we see her sitting in it's not the most decadent walk-in closet, but it's a walk-in closet. But the assistant just opens up like an armoire and pulls out this like
this blue dress that looks like you'd wear to a political function.
Exactly. And Roy is like, my wife asked you to come in here get that dress. So if I call her, she'll confirm. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. And then he tries to call her. No, stop. Don't do it. I want to be with you. And then what does Roy say? The same thing he keeps saying. You bitches trying to set me up. You bitches trying to set me up.
So he makes Julian leave, and then he calls Mallory to be like, I'm not going to fall for it. I know you're turning around right now to come catch me.
Then we cut to Body and Delinda, the bottom bitch and the madam of the strip club, who have like, I guess we get a comedy break because they're sitting in a diner eating.
But the diner with bars on the window.
When all of a sudden Jules rolls up. And so Body goes out there all worried. And she gets in the car and he's like, playing these mental games with her, like, how come you can't get Kimmy in line? I guess I'm gonna have to give Kimmy your spot. And she's like, oh, hell no, I'll do anything. I'll kill that bitch. She's like, get my spot. What can I do to make you happy? And then Body tries to, attempts to perform oral sex on Jules, but he stops her and goes, bitch, what are you doing? And then he grabs her mouth and says, open your mouth, open. And says, you think I can't see all the men that have been up in there? like to shame her, and then cut scene. Body
Well,
goes back into the diner, and then we have like a kind of a comedic moment with her and Delinda.
mhm.
What was the point of that scene? What did we learn? Nothing.
Nothing. It to me, Perry's going so extra with the abusiveness of these sexually motivated moments, related moments, that it's like it makes me think that he's dabbled or more than dabbled in his own like little dom sub kind of things, because that kind of language is for every scene, for like all the men are talking to the women this way. It's like
It's outrageous. So the gay brother is now staying at a hotel or apartment, something luxurious, and because he's been told to not go home because he should be afraid of Richard Lawson. And of course, his little hoish ass has some man in there taking a shower. And guess who that man is? Terrell Carter, the family business attorney.
the one.
The one, which they're being sued for 1.5 billion, a major corporation. They have a huge corporate office in downtown Chicago. They must be raking in billions of dollars in sales.
And one lawyer
And one lawyer
who has other clients.
who has other clients. He's not even their main. He is a homosexual, well, I think he's homosexual because he says, I'm not trying to hide.
Well, he also turned down Mallory.
But he had already turned down Mallory. So he must be not out, because I can't imagine a woman like Mallory
Right.
would want to have sex with an openly gay man.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, it depends.
well, I don't know. It just all comes out of nowhere. But they're having sex, and it seems like Terrell really likes the brother. I think the brother looks like
You mean Charles G. Norfleet?
a little cricket. I don't.
Well, he also looks like, whoa, you have to work. You're sacrificing things to have that body. Okay.
This series is so gay. And then we have them in the shower wearing towels. And then there's a really awkward moment where the gay brother rips off Terrell Carter's towel. And then the way it's shot, because we can't show penis, I guess, you have like Terrell show to just like he turns strategically to just show his butt, and they're being playful. Okay.
Varney also tells Charles, I love you, but this is just us basically getting our rocks off.
I would love to know what if Tyler Perry's directing these scenes. I would have loved to, like, what is the direction for scenes like this?
Right, well, it's like the depiction of like being DL in the Black community. I don't know. Like it's just feeding into such stereotypes and cliches that it's hard to think that this is anything more than demeaning in my mind.
I wanted to mention when the assistant goes in to seduce Roy and grabs that dress, Roy's like, I know you're lying because my wife never wears the same dress twice.
Okay.
Okay.
But you don't see her in everything she wears, so
I mean, it's just such a crazy thing to say. I have to highlight again, everyone is so paranoid to the point where it's comical. It's because I feel like what he's trying to do is like any good gangster movie where it's like they're paranoid. They always have to look behind their backs because they're doing all this shady stuff. But it's crafted in a way that seems authentic to our version of what we think gangsters are. But Tyler Perry, it's just his version of paranoia is people being repetitive.
People being repetitive and paranoid about the wrong things. Like Rico Ross is paranoid about his family finding out that he is attracted to men, but
well, your products cause cancer. Maybe you should worry about that more.
but he's not worried that the stripper
these
and these sex workers who have nothing to lose presumably
aren't going to blow up his spot.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So after Richard is told your wife's brain dead, you need to make a decision to pull the plug, he immediately calls Jules. And then Jules is like trying to play it off like, I don't know, even though he knows that Rico is responsible for that random person going in and poisoning her. But then Richard Lawson starts screaming, I need to move my wife out of this hospital. Why? She is dead. Like,
right.
So you just want to put her on a respirator in a different place? Like, it's too late now. But the way he's acting is like, you don't like what don't you understand about what's happening? And then the final scene is that Richard Lawson calls Rico Ross's character to tell him he's going to kill his sons. And then Rico says, well, then
Don't say anything you're not going to do.
but Rico's character has made it very clear that he hates his sons.
Mhm.
And we know this because he literally says, I hate those motherfuckers. Like,
Mhm.
he hates his sons. I'd be like, well, do what you got to do then, bruh. Like,
Yeah. I'm forgetting. Wait, who comes to visit Rico Ross? Who comes to visit Rico Ross in his house when he's doing the canography?
Jules, that's
Jules,
when
yeah.
the butler goes,
Yeah.
oh, because Rico Ross is sitting like in the great room,
In
and
front-
then we see the butler come in, give him a drink, and then the door knocks, so the butler goes to get it, and literally it's like he's sitting in the same room where the front door is.
Well, he's like, I can see him from the window. Okay.
Right, and then the butler opens the door and goes, oh yes, Mr. Bellarie is in the great room, and then walks him like 2 steps. So stupid. Is there anything else you want to say about episode 5?
We're on the downward slope now.
All right, ta-ta. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We watched episode 6 of Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, now streaming on Netflix. Episode 6 is titled Bang Bang. What is the premise? Roy's ego reaches new heights as Mallory hunts for his other woman. Kimmie and Angel look for a way out. Norman's grief takes a bloody turn. I hate this show so much.
These people.
This is ridiculous.
God, could have just a meteor come out of the sky and just hit them with such raging force that it knocks the show off Netflix? Like,
oh my God.
So stupid.
Okay, let's just go through the episode. It opens with protesters in front of Beauty in Black's headquarters protesting or saying like cancer sucks. And these are all people involved in that class action lawsuit.
That's their slogan, cancer sucks. Nothing to do with the corporation.
I feel like they should be shouting like Bellarie Beauty in Black sucks, but okay. Okay. Then Mallory meets with Jules, head of security. Well, actually, he meets with her. He demands to sit with her in the back of her SUV. And basically, Mallory tells Jules, like, can't they just kill the attorney who is
Lena,
the one representing all the people in this class action lawsuit?
Again, one lawyer.
What? These people, Mallory is so dumb. Roy is more stupid, but Mallory, I wrote down, like, does she want to be ruined? She is so combative, so resistant, so nonsensical, so reactionary. Why would killing an attorney stop a lawsuit?
There are lots
If anything, that would propel it
right
into the stratosphere. Like, clearly someone's trying to hide something. Are you new here? Did you go to school? Like, how are you running a business? None of it makes sense. This is your first time litigating anything? I'm so confused. Then she says, well, I can't have this bitch ruining 100-year-old business. So now I'm really confused. I thought Richard Lawson and Rico Ross started Bellarie Beauty in Black.
So they're dead. Well, they did make that weird comment about how the will is set or the inheritance is set up, but yeah, like, so their daddy was Madam C.J. Walker. Like, I don't understand.
The first female millionaire. Okay. Then Angel is staying with Kimmie in that sad motel. And we see that his baby mama has shown up and set his car on fire.
The next morning.
And then we find out that that's not his car, it's his dad's car. And this fool runs outside and there's just a water hose. Ain't no way there's a water hose just plugged into a motel. Anyway, immediately he gets this water hose and tries to put out the fire, but doesn't.
Well, the fire doesn't really look real either.
That's true too. But then he just goes back in the motel room.
Yeah, I don't know what they do all day. Those two are just lounging in this and then Kimmie's like a black hole. It's like she infects everyone with depression.
Literally a dark space.
Yeah.
every time she plops down, she has that posture and she looks so downtrodden and her face is so like she's always frowning and then those big ass eyelashes just weighing her lids down. She really, this poor character just looks so pitiful. But of course, Angel again, same conversation from last episode. They're like, let's get Rico Ross for all his money. I know I can do it. And then at one point, Angel shares with Kimmie because now Kimmie's crying, talking about rain and how I can't believe that they took shit they bought from an auto parts store to inject into her ass. And then Angel reveals that they wanted him to do the same thing to his penis. Inject Fix-a-Flat in it to make it look bigger.
Like Ed Buck.
And then he says some other guy at the club did it. And he makes way more money.
Lying.
But he says that he has a hard time getting an erection.
Well, I don't think he can, yeah.
So, of course, Angel didn't want to do it. Then Kimmie is, because now Angel's saying, well, let's just run away. And Kimmie just tells him, Jane Doe, Texas, 2022, look it up. And he looks at her like, okay. She's like, Google it.
First hit.
And then it turns out to be, it's never fully explained, but I think your assumption is correct that because then he goes, that looks just like diamond. So I guess we're supposed to extract from that the last person who tried to escape ended up dead. How the hell did Kimmie find that? like it just doesn't make any sense. So you spent an eternity searching the internet for some Jane Doe and you found a picture of some stripper you knew?
Looking for hearts, not diamonds.
Jane Doe, Texas, 2020. If you Google Jane Doe, Texas, 2022.
I just did.
And what does it pull up?
Dallas County Jane Doe 2020 is now identified. So I don't know if Mr. Perry did that either.
Man, oh God, what if his attention to detail is not such that...
Well, even the slogan of the cancer supporters, cancer sucks. I mean, and what does slogan look? Be wary of Bellarie, like something, anything. Come on, man. That would have been
perfect.
Anything.
Be wary of Bellarie.
Like anything.
If anyone knows anyone at TPP Studios, they need to hire Nick to do some writing.
Well, I'll do some.
I would consult.
I would do some subversive.
I'll consult on the gay stuff.
Subversive raggedy shit, though, to be like. Oh.
Okay. So Richard. Then we see Richard Lawson at the hospital, and he has some guy there who's a doctor who doesn't work for the hospital, telling him we need to move my wife. And he is like, the doctor is so worried. Then the female doctor who had been working on Ina, who actually works at the hospital, who's confused who this man is with a stethoscope on. They are so worried about Ina, saying like, I have to check her vitals. It's not going to be stable. Weren't we told earlier that day? Because remember, we're still in the same day as episode 5. Weren't we told like, not even a few hours ago, that this lady is brain dead and a decision needs to be made whether or not to pull the plug to end her life. And now all of a sudden we're worried about her being transported. Does that even make sense?
No. Well, he thinks that his brother has something to do with it because he knows that lady came and injected something in the IV that made her brain swell.
But that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Why would they be worried about her? They're literally saying you can kill her now.
Yes.
Like you can end her life now.
Yes.
Why would it matter that it's risky for her to be transported?
What they need to do is say, here, sign this, that this is the risk that's involved. And
you release all liability from the hospital.
And goodbye, sir. Get the F out of my hair.
Right.
But that white lady doctor who is this man? Who is this doctor? Please tell me.
Ugh. They would call listen. It would be a Terry Schiavo up in that bitch. I don't know why she didn't call the police. It doesn't make any damn sense. So then Jules tells Mallory, you need to go talk to your uncle, Richard, and smooth shit over. And again, does Mallory want to be ruined? Every good idea that's thrown at her, she's like, no, I want to do the opposite. Instantly. She's so combative. So combative. Everything is... I mean, I just hate it. I hate it so much. But anyway, she does go down to the hospital to see her uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And
She comes up right after that interaction with the doctors.
and ironically, Richard, because Mallory walks up to Richard and says, "Hey, uncle, I know that you're upset with the family." And he goes, "I'm not angry with you."
Yeah,
Like, if you only
ironically,
knew,
like,
this
okay.
is the bitch who hit your wife. Richard is so stupid.
They're all dumb. And then he's the one that tells her that Ina was found in a parking lot and the attendants were all assassinated. And it's like, again, going back to square one, where did we put together that she was killed on the private road for sure? Like,
Or if you know that your
or
wife was
killed, run
found
over.
very far away from this private road, why aren't you thinking of anyone else besides your two raggedy nephews?
And why aren't you looking at their vehicles?
Mallory says, "Well, do you have any enemies?" And Richard looks at her like, "What?" Well, and then she says, "Well, who?" Like, the fact that her body was taken so far, doesn't that seem like extra to you?
Although that's dumb of her to say because, again, anybody that listens to any kind of Dateline episode would be like, we need to look at the vehicles of the people that we are suspicious of, including Mallory's.
Speaking of that, wouldn't Mallory's SUV have damage?
Yes, it would.
Your mama hit a deer once, and that wrecked her shit.
Oh yeah, that was out of commission for a minute.
We see her driving that SUV all over. How many times do we see that black SUV? And it doesn't appear to have a scratch on it.
It's in this episode. Like,
The Ina, she hit that lady so hard,
and
she flew over the car.
And Ina's DNA is in Roy's trunk.
Ina's DNA is in the trunk of Roy's Aston Martin. I just don't understand.
But the chemist.
But the PhD in chemistry hasn't thought to maybe try to get some DNA samples from the people who he suspects are the cause. No. The fact that you know that she was because we have to remember Richard was cruising the personal road and found one of Ina's shoes, which, side note, I like to watch those fail video posts on Instagram. And anytime someone falls and their shoe flies off, that shit is so funny.
You know that shit's hard.
You know they fell hard.
That shit hit hard, yeah.
But anyway, he knows, he's convinced that she was hit on this private road, but her body, she was found alive very far away. How are you not trying to how are you not connecting the dots? It's infuriating to me. While they're in the hospital, we see a commercial for that attorney talking about if you have experienced mesothelioma. No, she's like, if you have cancer and you use Bellarie beauty products, call me now. While Richard and Mallory are watching. I thought that was funny. Okay. So remembering that there are people protesting in front of Bellarie Beauty and Black's headquarters, Roy's stupid ass in his drop top Rolls Royce pulls up right in front. And then a security person says, "Mr. Bellarie, you should go around in the back. Like, don't come through here."
He's like, the executive level parking where no one else is.
Which today, the executive level parking lot is full. Did you notice that? Yeah. It was full of cars. Anyway, Roy's stupid ass says, "No, I'm going to park right here." And so, of course, all the protesters recognize him and they're like, "Boo, boo." And he tells one of the protesters, "I know that bitch paid you to be here. You're part of that lawsuit." And of course, people are recording him. And the lady's like, "This is my daughter." And it's this sickly looking girl who clearly, they have that head wrap that indicates that her hair fell out. So you think that she got paid to be here? Like, you are so stupid. So then Roy with the security guard walks through the crowd. And then in sort of like the mezzanine or whatever of this corporate office, Lena, the attorney, bumps into him and serves him papers. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I can't believe that this attorney who's heading a $1.5 billion class action lawsuit is out here serving papers. It just seems inappropriate. Also, she's asking him to meet with her, which also seems inappropriate. But before that, she explains, "Oh, I know you. You don't know me, bitch. I do know you. We went to college together and you wanted me." I don't remember that. Well, you probably don't remember because you were on drugs. His entire characterization is that he is like
A cokehead.
A cokehead.
But he also doesn't remember her at all, apparently. And she says she was Mallory's number one competition. And remember, we met Lena earlier because she already served Bellarie
Didn't that
papers.
seem like she was acting more like a reporter?
Yes.
Like a journalist.
Mm-hmm. Like, here, I can cut a deal with you. You're the smart one.
All of that shit was ridiculous, but the most shocking part of that interaction was finding out that Roy took even 3 credits at college. He seems like a moron.
Yes.
Like a whole ass moron. I just don't understand. What did he study in college? But like, what could he have possibly studied? I just don't understand. Okay. That damn assistant.
Julian,
mm-hmm. Mallory's assistant. Who, for people who watched the newest or the most recent series of Drag Race UK, there was a queen in the top 3 named Release of Slaves.
Or as Rue called her, Release of Slaves.
And then after a while, she just called it Release of Lisa.
Yeah.
Because Release of Slaves is a bit...
I think it's funny.
That is a strong word name. But anyway, Release of Slaves for Snatch Game, because Release of Slaves looks exactly like Rihanna. She's stunning, for people who don't know. And during the Snatch Game, which is like you have to impersonate a celebrity, she impersonated Rihanna, pretending to be like a creepy kid,
like a possessed doll child,
like an Annabelle or Rihanna or something. That is how Jillian, the assistant, behaves. She talked like that, and I don't know. And I hate her so much. But we see her in Mallory's office when Roy busts in. And he's like, bitch, what you doing here? Where's my wife? You know where she is. Well, she went down to the hospital to see your uncle and your auntie.
Why?
Well, she was involved in an accident. Bitch, I know she was in an accident. Well, I don't know why she was. So then... we get the exact same scene we got in episode 5
in the bedroom. Yes,
in the bedroom, except now we're in Mallory's office where she's trying to seduce Roy, and then Roy's like, bitch, I know you're trying to set me up. I know you're trying to set... No, I really want to be with you. I don't know. Well,
yep,
the exact same scene.
Second verse, same as the first. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Then we get a scene where Kimmy's sister calls her.
Oh, yes.
And Kimmy's sister, who we find out is now 16.
Played by Bailey Tippin.
She calls her sister from the house she lives in with her mom and that rapist-ass boyfriend of hers, Frank.
And she's on the swing set.
Sitting on the swing set like a little kid with perfect teeth and beautiful skin and lovely hair. It's like, well, there's at least fluoride in your tap water. I don't know what's going on, but
you can't tell me that Frank is going to run the same game on her. Okay.
But Kimmie is like trying to play it cool, and the sister's like, I just can't wait to get out of here. And I never get the money you give me or send me because Frank just takes it because my mom gives it to him. And Kimmie is saying, well, I'm going to wire you money, go to the grocery store or Western Union and pick the shit up. And the sister's saying, well, can I still come live with you once I'm 18?
I just want to be in Chicago and live with my sister who's a nurse.
And I'll have my own... Well, we don't know that she's a nurse.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I'm going to have my own bedroom. And then Kimmie's like heartbroken. Like, yeah, of course. It's going to be great in Chicago. And then the sister says, okay, well, I'll let you go. I know you're busy. You have to work at night.
Because mom, you're on your back all night, girl.
So then I'm like, well, what does her sister think she does for a living?
But their raggedy-ass mom is somehow... keeping such tight tabs on this other girl that she can't even have a secret conversation outside on the phone.
Right.
How does that work? I mean, abuse is a strange thing. I mean, a child called it. That mama had all kinds of kids and only chose to hone in on one. So who knows? But it just seems...
It's a curious case indeed. But like you already said, we find out a little bit later in the episode that Kimmie tells her sister she's a nurse. Which is sad because it's like,
as anybody that has gone to school to become a nurse, whether it's LPN or RN, that takes a couple years. So when and where did this happen for Kimmie?
Okay. So then Roy is talking to Jules, because Jules, of course, is playing interference.
Oh,
The last episode was described as Jules pulling the strings, but I think this episode really shows him pulling the strings.
but and I know we've already mentioned this, but Jules telling Mallory like your uncle is he's beginning to lose trust in me, and she's like, we all are. You are also dumb. Why don't you all have your own private person that does your dirty deeds done dirt cheap for you? Like what? It doesn't make any sense that
No,
they're
it
all
doesn't.
depending on Jules. Like Jules is a conflict of interest.
The definition
Like
of a conflict of interest. How can he protect all of you when you all want protection from each other?
you all hate each other.
It doesn't even like, are you so stupid that you think that this one person who you all run to clean up your bullshit, how is this person going to be able to help all of you against each other?
Since he knows everybody's dumb bullshit, he's going to side with who he believes will come out on top. What? I don't. What?
Right. He even hints it to Mallory, doesn't he, that he has a business with Richard?
Mm-hmm, yeah. But
So it's like, hello, stupid. He's making money with Richard. Why the hell would he fuck that up
but I think
to deal with your bullshit?
I think he's starting to lean on. We see him leaning on her because he sees that Lawson is leaking like a rusty bucket.
And Roy. Well, let's get back to Roy. When he meets with Roy, that's when we learn that Roy's dumbass, his plan for this class action lawsuit with a price tag of $1.5 billion, which will probably be successful based on the fact that the company's attorney is telling them straight out the gate, y'all gonna have to file bankruptcy. Roy's bright idea is that he thinks he can seduce this woman, Lena, the attorney, to somehow get the lawsuit dropped. Sir, you have erectile dysfunction. You have to hire prostitutes who you can't even get it up for.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even want to be with your ass. And we saw you without your shirt on. I don't know how you think you're going to seduce.
I mean, I agree with the last comment you made about him, but his body is fine.
No, his body's fine. But
Like-
for someone to be as stupid as he is, to not be the best looking man on my screen,
well,
I just don't know what he has to offer.
yes, his flaw, like any little flaws, make him an easy target. But he's fine. But I don't know. He's just also, it's poor writing, and then we're also supposed to believe he's stupid enough to be so easily manipulated by Jules in that moment.
That's the other part of that scene, is that Jules is basically going, no, man,
he's playing him, to borrow a line from Batman Returns, like a harp from hell.
Like a fiddle, like a 5-year-old
Yes.
could see. Like, hello, stupid. This man is.
Oh no, I was gonna say we're told he does cocaine all the time, which, from what I know of it, is not good for erectile functioning. So maybe somebody needs to tell him. Maybe he just doesn't know.
Then we get back to the motel with Angel sitting on the bed, just looking like his life is about to be over. And then Kimmie plops her depressing ass down on the couch and starts crying. And Angel, trying to comfort her, looks so crazy.
He's like, have you been crying this whole time?
And then Kimmie basically says that Rain was the only person who ever loved her besides her sister.
Which is such bullshit, because Rain got your ass caught up in this.
Rain is the
and
one.
Angel.
Rain and Angel are wholly responsible for the situation you're in today. And furthermore, Rain didn't want you to try to get an education.
Rain wasn't shit, okay?
Rain wasn't shit.
She was a horrible friend. Kimmie's so stupid. It's frustrating. It's just like, okay, we'll die. Like,
then we cut to the ambulance, because now this male doctor who came out of nowhere, and some like nurse are in the back of this big ass ambulance.
Would he be in the ambulance with her? Doesn't he have, if he's really a physician, doesn't he have other things to do that day?
Well, no, I think this was all like, there is no support. Like, this was all on the down low. So it makes sense to me that this would be sort of like just the two staff trying to get this lady somewhere else. But what doesn't make sense to me is Richard is in the back screaming at everyone. And then Ina, the brain dead wife who's on life support.
We never even see that actor's face.
No, that could be anyone.
It probably was different people.
Surprise, it was me. But
it's Tyler Perry. directing in a coma.
Ina, wow, that would make sense for how this show came out. Ina starts crashing, right? Her vitals start to drop.
Well, because she's brain dead.
And well, I'm so glad you reminded us of that because the nurse in the ambulance starts screaming at Ina, "Stay with me." Bitch, she is brain dead. Okay, she
And
does not know what's going
Richard
on.
Lawson screaming, "Save her!" It's like, man.
We had this conversation this morning. Your wife is brain dead, and you need to decide whether or not to keep her on life
You
support.
forgot to mention that this bald white man that's purportedly a physician, the first place he's going to move her to is, he's like, I'm going to move her to Lake of the Isles or whatever. And he's like, no.
Shout out to Minneapolis.
He's like, that's a shithole. Okay.
Take her to Minnetonka.
Ooh, no.
No. Okay. So then she starts crashing and then flatlines. And the doctor goes, I'm sorry. I told you. You told me you could do it. And the doctor goes, I was wrong.
Yep.
And then this is, we're skipping ahead a little bit. Actually, let me save the best for last.
Yeah, Vanessa, do it.
So before Ina crashes, then we get back to Mallory bitching and moaning. And she utters the lines, when he snorts that shit, he just gets more stupid and more stupid.
More stupid and more stupid. Mr. Perry, I believe, needs to take a remedial grammar class.
You know what Mr. Perry should do? You know that, because now that I get so many messages on Instagram and stuff, there's AI. So sometimes I just use AI to respond because I can't.
You heard it here first, people.
Well, not always.
Okay.
If it's a simple response, obviously I wrote that. But if it's a longer, clever thing, that was probably AI. Because
really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, you haven't tried it yet?
Oh, hell no.
It's not 100% made up. It's like I have to write something like if someone says, because sometimes people will just message me like, like, how's your day? And it's like, well, that's kind of a big question for someone I don't know. And
sure,
I don't want to just be like, okay. So I'll say like, oh, hanging in there. And then the AI button comes up and then it asks you, do you want to be funny, sad? Like it'll ask you what tone you want. And then it will adjust what you say into something longer that's like funny or sad.
Okay. Well, I ran into somebody at Cannes this last year that's like, you should use AI to help you write film reviews. I'm on my third novel, sci-fi novel that AI helped me with. And to me, as somebody that actually enjoys writing, that sounds atrocious. I will not do that.
Well, I am not a creative person, but I think I wouldn't want to put my name on something that was supposed to come out of my head movie that AI created.
Well, I think most people don't have that problem.
But Anyway,
well, I think that
was a glimpse behind the curtain that sometimes I will respond with AI. But
that's the thing, like of Tyler Perry's 4 major productions this year, this sinks below what I think I said about either, I don't remember if it was Mea Culpa now or Divorce in the Black. One of those felt like an AI film, and this feels like it's below that. Like AI would have corrected the shit.
Oh yeah, this definitely is not AI because it would be better.
AI would be like, this line of dialogue makes no sense.
But what I was going to say is, how many times in the 6 episodes we've watched has Mallory called her husband an idiot? How many times does she say, who's the bitch? Or whore? Yes. It's just like,
who's that whore he's with? Still on that game. And it's like, why? Oh, and we get an explanation because Jules calls her out for that. Like, why do you care? Why do you care who it is? And she's like, I don't want to be embarrassed. It's like, but he hasn't done anything embarrassing except for you found out because you got a phone call, but there's been no tarnishing to your image because of him yet. So why not just...
he's had many bitches.
Right.
Like, I mean...
But they hint that she did something terrible to the last one. I don't know.
Okay. This Chicago skyline that's like green screened into every scene, that's like the same skyline, that's a character unto itself. And I find it very amusing. Okay. Then we get a scene with the gay brother and Terrell, the company's attorney. And it's
Varney is his character.
that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell's character is in love with the gay brother.
Purportedly.
And I just don't see it. And I hate that gay brother. I think he looks like he's wasting away.
Again, this is when your body is not our bodies are meant to be a certain way, and clearly he spends his life at the gym, but it's shown in his face that his body doesn't want to be that.
Terrell is very handsome. He is, I'm assuming, a successful attorney. He doesn't appear to have like an issue with partying. What does he see in, what's the gay brother's name? Charles?
Yes.
What does he see in him? And they're in Chicago.
Right.
Terrell Carter could walk into any place
and be just fine.
And probably get the flyest homosexual in there.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you messing with someone who looks like he belongs in A Bug's Life? And he's
Bug's Life.
And he's a cokehead. His abdomen looks like a bug's thorax. It just doesn't even make sense.
It looks like it's not nice to hold for sure.
Then that's how Guy Ritchie felt about Madonna.
Yeah. What did he say? A piece of gristle?
Just felt like sleeping with a piece of gristle. Then Terrell Carter's character says, you know what? I'm done with this shit. Because he's trying to spend more time with him. And the brother's like, no, until you're ready to commit to me. I'm not trying to be with some DL man. He's like, I'm not DL. I don't want to hear it.
I'm private.
I don't want to hear it. Until you're ready to out yourself to my family and what we've been doing, then I don't want you. I'm going out tonight. And finally, Terrell says, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm done for real.
Which makes so much sense. Charles can't even make that ultimatum because we have seen him have sex with other people already throughout the series.
Then, as Terrell's walking out, the gay brother goes, hold on. Then he turns around, drops his pants, and goes, you'll be back for this ass. And I just need to know, when Tyler wrote those lines and directed that scene, what he thought he was giving us.
I don't think I ever remember even anything halfway as tacky as that in Noah's Ark.
You know what it is? It's this idea that like when you don't have the freedom to get what you want, then you're beholden to what you can get.
Right.
And I feel like that's where Tyler Perry's coming from. Like he wrote, like Terrell Carter's character is telling not only the audience, but the gay brother, I'm not in the closet. And then 2 episodes ago, he acknowledges like we both are out here having sex with other people. Like, so if I can have sex with whomever I want freely, your ass is not going to bring me back to shit. It's my feelings for you that will bring me back to you. Mm-hmm. But I just think like the writing of this scenario just feels so like it's reducing these queer characters to like, it's all about the ass.
Well, that's all.
I guess that's all they can show on Netflix, maybe. But
if indeed Tyler Perry does have those proclivities, that's all he knows about them, because he can't. Someone like him, the way he presents himself, wouldn't be able to live an honest, authentic, loving, self-loving life as a gay person, if he indeed is.
The only kind of man who that gay brother could pull those stunts on is some broke ass twink who is impressed by the fact that he has money, even though he probably doesn't have access to give any away. Mm-hmm. But Terrell Carter, who's a successful attorney, like what? I just don't see it. Like it just feels like the most basic of affairs. Mm-hmm. But we saved the best for last, because the final scene of the film is when Ina, Richard's wife, is in the ambulance.
Ina Garten.
And she flatlines.
Thank God.
And finally, Richard flips out and pulls out a gun.
And he questions the doctor. He says, do you know my brother?
No. Shoots him in the head. Then the 2 ambulance drivers open up the back.
Because they had pulled over.
And he shoots both of them. Richard Lawson shoots both of them in the head. Then the nurse, he's screaming, do you know my brother? And she's like, no. And he shoots her in the head. And then gets out of the ambulance and walks away.
And then came the Georgia Peach.
When's the last time you saw something that crazy? You know what this feels like to me? This feels as crazy. Did we both watch Tiffany the doll?
Yeah. Actually, I thought of Tiffany the doll during one of the sex scenes because it's that sleazy,
Stiff and sleazy.
like
And then the editing, because when Richard Lawson, like it has that like
it has like a jump,
abbreviated like jumpy editing.
Mm-hmm.
This is on the level of Tiffany the doll.
Yeah, like made for what was that made for? Was it not BET?
It's Tubi.
It's Tubi. Was that a Tubi original?
I don't think it's a Tubi original, but it was on Tubi. Tubi's the place where movies like that go to live.
Well, to rest in a shallow grave, but yes.
Ugh. Is there anything else you want to say about episode 6?
Let's get through the next 2. Let's just do it.
All right, ta-ta. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We just watched episode 7 of Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, now streaming on Netflix.
Oh, God.
Episode 7 is called Even Playing Field. Mm-hmm. Fed up with Roy, Mallory takes matters into her own hands. As Norman digs for the truth, a familiar face comes into focus. Kimmie and Angel make moves.
None of this shit. That doesn't... Okay.
So I think the best scene of the series so far is the episode opens with Richard Lawson going to the impound lot where his now dead wife was found. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman working at the impound lot is the brother
of one of the slain
attendants.
Mm-hmm. And also, how random. Like, you want to go work? Like, if you're replacing your slain brother, is that the job you want to replace him at? I don't know.
But Richard's asking him, have you seen this person? Do you know what happened that night? And the guy is trying to explain, like, I'm sorry, man, about your wife, but I already told the cops what I know. I don't know. Mm-hmm. He gives him one little detail, which is that there was a silver car there that is no longer there, mm-hmm. but he doesn't know the plates. Someone already came and got the people who killed the people who were working, took the camera footage and the logs and all that. Mm-hmm. So that's that. Then,
but in the picture,
there is a little detail because
there's a Lambo.
There's a yellow. So there's a Polaroid picture behind the attendant, and Richard goes, "Who's that?" Oh, that's my brother, the one who was killed. And it's a picture of the brother standing next to a yellow Lamborghini, mm-hmm. which looks like the yellow Lamborghini the gay brother drives.
Just the kind of car Megan Thee Stallion would like to ride away in.
Then we cut to Beauty in Black's corporate offices, and we see that Mallory and her assistant and the driver are ready to leave when all of a sudden Roy busts in high, mm-hmm. and they have a confrontation.
Yeah.
Mallory says to him, this drug shit is getting worse day by fucking day. Then
is it more stupid and more stupid?
Roy gets kind of handsy with Mallory and the driver busts in trying to break it up.
Yeah, Calvin does some white knighting.
I just don't understand. Why would he do that?
I don't know.
What? We only have one episode left, but I just don't see it coalescing in a way that makes sense with this character. Like, does he think that he's going to seduce? Well, later in the episode, it's clear that he's trying to seduce her, but to what end?
Right. Like, what? Do you have feelings for this woman? Because it seems like you were hurt about Julian and the dalliance with Roy. So
I don't think Satan himself would find Mallory tolerable. Like, I just don't know. I don't know what this driver thinks he's going to get out of her.
There's nothing. Yeah, she's a pretty woman from certain angles and in certain lighting, but no.
Then in episode 6, I was talking shit about Terrell wanting to be with the gay brother, not making sense, but I guess I have to now I have to backtrack because in this episode we see Terrell comes back mm-hmm. to apologize to him.
He does, and he basically lays himself at this little man's feet in ways that don't make sense.
And the gay brother is like, well, I'm going out tonight. So it is what it is.
And Barney says, I'll be up waiting for you naked. And Charles, the gay brother, says, I'm going to bring home a stripper. And he's like, fine. He says, I'm going to do what I need to do to be with you.
Listen, I mean, I just can't relate. I just can't relate. I don't understand why this relationship is happening.
Well, Charles hasn't given anything, so I don't understand what, like, you're suddenly really sprung. It seems like we've taken a hard left into.
And what did I say last episode? That Terrell is like, you know, a successful person. He even acknowledges in this episode, like, you know, it took me a long time to get to this place financially. And yes, why would you be interested in this little drug addict?
This little rich daddy boy drug addict, what is appealing?
Then we go back to the strip club, and now we're, for the first time, we're in the dressing room of the male strippers. And we see that Angel is trying to arrange the heist with one of the other strippers. And this just feels like an episode of Dateline, where these dummies, these criminals who try to coordinate something. And it's like, you're in cahoots with people who are not trustworthy. So we see Angel dealing with this one stripper because Angel needs a driver now that his dad's Dodge Charger has been set aflame. And immediately you can tell that this guy he has commissioned to help him won't be reliable.
Salvo.
And then this guy also has a giant penis. Is he supposed to be the guy that got the Fix-A-Flat injected in there?
No, that was somebody in Lion, I believe.
Oh, that's right. So Salvo just has a big penis.
We see a lot of large erect penises, but you know, well,
underneath their briefs, not nude.
Well, they're constantly hard, which means they've had to take something to remain that way.
Or they're wearing a ring, or both.
There are tricks, yes.
There are tricks. Then we move to the female dressing room because Kimmie has shown up. And that scene was so awkward, of course, because Body can't act. You have all the strippers in the background cackling like gremlins. Everything Body says, like, this bitch is not funny.
Like, I just need something to hit her in the head real hard.
I just wish I could meet her and have her try to talk slick to me. And we go see who the real bottom bitch is, because she's not even that, like,
she's not fly.
She's not throwing, like,
she's not smart.
She's not landing big blows.
She's not fierce.
So I just don't understand. And then poor Kimmie just sitting there looking downtrodden. But the main point of this scene was to set up something, which is that Body has a new 16-year-old coming to work at the club. And the way she keeps saying it, we're like, well, Tyler, it must be her sister.
It's going to be Kimmie's sister. It's going to be Sylvie.
But in this episode, we never learn who it is.
No, but she says it.
She says like 4 times.
Like 4 or 5 times, and says, I can't wait.
I can't wait for you to meet this new 16-year-old I'm bringing in.
So Sylvie's going to be there, but.
And all these bitches in the background like.
So
oh, I hate it. Okay. Then the Mallory's crazy ass assistant Gillian, or is it Jillian?
Gillian. I forget now. It's Gillian. They're pronouncing it Gillian.
I think. Well, we're about to get to it, but there have been some inconsistencies in these names, but we'll get to it. Don't worry. So Gillian is talking to the driver, who I thought was her man. But I guess they broke up over finding out that both of them are having sex with their respective bosses.
He cast her. I think that scene where he finds out she almost gave Roy head, he's cast her aside. That's what happened in that scene. And then coincidentally, that was the same scene that what's her name? Oh my God. Mallory, Bellarie seduced him in the car.
We hear Mallory say her first name. We hear Mallory say her last name for the first time, I believe. And she says it's Baler. So her name is Mallory Baler?
Yes, that's why we've been making fun of since.
I thought it was Bellarie.
No, it's Baler.
But it literally rhymes. Mallory Bellarie.
That's why I said that from the first episode. This shit is terrible.
Okay, so I didn't realize that's how they're pronouncing their own name. Mallory Bellarie. Anyway, Jillian tells her, I guess now ex-boyfriend / Mallory's driver, do you know what they used to say about me? And he goes, was that before or after you were whoring around in Seattle? Excuse me, what?
A big little city. I guess everybody knows about Gillian the whore.
Okay. I know the gays like to do some raggedy shit and
They
have
do.
sex in places that you wouldn't expect. But when Rico shows up to the strip club, he sees the yellow Lamborghini.
That is parked cock-a-doo-doo. My God.
Yeah.
I can't believe they let that happen.
Well, I'm sure he valeted. So oftentimes valet will park the car like to show it off if it's a nice car and you tip them well. But anyway, Rico sees what he presumes is his son's car. So he doesn't want to go inside. And the person working the lot, so security working the lot at the strip club, can tell that Rico's apprehensive about going in. He's like, "Oh, well, have you tried our drive-through service?" And Rico's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we can get
VIP.
VIP. We can get you what you need." And he's like, the security says $500, whatever you want in the back. What if he's like a cop or what?
Right.
Anyway,
it's not free. VIP.
Like EBT.
Yeah.
It's for anyway. Rico pulls in the back and there are people having sex. We see a man performing cunnilingus on a woman.
We see
spread eagle on the top of a car.
We see women performing cunnilingus.
We
on
see
women.
men hitting it from the back. We see like it just in the back of this building.
But speaking of inconsistencies, we see gay shit going on full blown. And then inside, another salvo says they don't allow gays back there. They do. We see it.
Yeah, we just saw it. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, then we get a scene where Mallory and her driver are alone in her office back at the corporate headquarters. And I think that this is Tyler's attempt at like an erotic thriller because he's basically being like a dom. Like, I don't know if he's familiar with dom play but it seems like he's read about it once and this is his version of it, because it's basically, and this is the second time or third time this has happened, where all we get is the driver telling Mallory, like, I know what you want. You want me to take control. I know what you want. And she's like, how? I wrote down, how many times will Mallory say in the series, do you know who you're talking to? It's like
to fall on deaf ears.
These characterizations are so broad and one-dimensional. It's like, yes, we all have borne witness to the stereotype that people in power want to be dominated because it makes them feel
behind the scenes.
Right. Like, it needs to be a little bit more than that. 50 Shades of Grey feels like War and Peace compared to this way.
The way this is presented, not just with the gay characterizations, what happens, what specifically to me, what transpires in the elevator with Mallory in this episode feels very regressive.
Well, it's just boring. Like, oh, a powerful woman wants to be dominated by not just any man, but like the man who's like at the bottom of the organizational chart.
You let cross a boundary. She, when you cross a boundary, she opened a door. This is why there are rules and regulations in an HR department. This is why you don't do that. This is why you don't shit where you eat. But then it's like she also likes it, and it's really uncomfortable to behold.
I haven't seen Baby Girl yet, but I wrote down that this is Tyler Perry's Baby Girl.
Baby Girl is so much better. I can't wait for you to see it. But part of the charm of that, if you can call the movie charming, is that those two people are trying to navigate how they want to do that in a way that feels.
I'm being funny, even though I haven't seen Baby Girl. Ain't no way this is on par.
Oh no, God, no.
We go back to the strip club and see Kimmie dancing, and all I could think of is, if I were the bottom bitch at the club, and that's how she's dancing, I'd beat her ass too.
I believe that Jerry Blank
would be more
energetic,
would give a more energetic, enticing striptease,
and even as 40-something. Yes.
So Rico's sitting in the VIP in his green Ford pickup truck when Kimmie goes out there, and she gets in the car, and Rico says, here's some keys, here the address, have Angel meet me there.
She goes, is this your house? And he says, off the record, yes. What record, sir?
What record?
What record? The police record?
Like, you gave me the address. We're going there. What are you talking about?
Oh, it's so stupid.
Also, Body suspects that there's something going on between Kimmie and Angel. I don't understand how strict this arrangement is, because it's like they seem free to come and go as they please. It's only at work that they're treated like they're prisoners.
Cattle.
But then, like, Angel seems to be very free to do what he wants.
Well, right. I think the men,
even though he owes money.
I think the men have a different supervisor.
But then Kimmy's also free to, like,
because Delinda ain't telling the men shit, so they're reporting to someone else.
But there's a moment when Kimmie walks up to Angel to say, "Hey, he's here, let's go."
Mm-hmm.
And there are all these women throwing money at Angel. Literally, like, they're not even throwing it; they're just dropping.
They're dropping it in the air,
and he just walks away. This is the second time. The first time was with Kimmie, where they just walk away from the money.
I mean,
what?
And we're not talking about
Aren't
pennies.
They desperate for money?
They're talking about bills. Like,
literally, these two characters cannot stop talking about how desperate they are for money, and we see them just walk away from a floor full of cash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Meanwhile, while that's happening, Charles, the gay brother who's there, which is the reason why his dad's out in the parking lot, is trying to hit on Salvo,
the stripper who's supposed to be helping Angel with the heist or the robbery later that night.
And somehow Salvo is taken by this man because he has a yellow Lambo outside and might have money and candy is the lingo they're using, and wants to meet him in the bathroom.
And so
that they don't lock.
So,
by the way,
the gay brother goes back to the bathroom to meet Salvo, the stripper. He's already snorting up some drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Salvo comes in, tries it. He's all,
but he doesn't ask what it is. I mean, you can't just, if somebody's got powder, you can't just assume, like, you have to ask what that is.
But he does it, and instantly, the minute it hits his nostril, he's like, "Oh, that's some good shit."
Raging, yeah.
And then we have to also say that the arrangement they had. Well, no. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. They're in the bathroom, and then immediately,
well, no. First, Salvo goes, "Are you rich?"
Yeah, and then he goes, "Yeah, actually, I am." "Oh, well, you're just my type."
And
then the stripper grabs the gay brother, like, very violently. Turns rough. Him around like he's just going to shove his enormous penis into that ass that no one can resist. And I couldn't believe this, but the gay brother's like, "No, not here."
Oh, that's a thing, because when Salvo leaves that scene, he's like, he was trying to bend me over in the back room. Okay. Oh, now you're classy. Okay.
But here's the thing. If I'm going to get some free ass in the bathroom, why would I say no to then be like, "But I'll pay you to come to my house to do it"?
Not like this.
He goes, "Not like this." And then he goes, "Well, where? My house." "Well, how much money are we talking?" And
he goes, "How much do you want?" He says, Salvo says $3,000.
And the gay brother goes, "I'll give you 1,500. And the Salvo goes, 1,500? Okay, I'll take that.
I'll take that.
Meanwhile, this motherfucker has a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle tattooed onto his arm.
On his back.
I can't take it seriously.
And then he sees the little baggie of drugs again. He's like, "Oh, wow." It's like, you just
snorted that shit, bro.
You just saw that shit. But Charles
I hate gay people.
Well, there's some dummies out there, let me tell you. But Charles being upset about, like, "Oh, I was going to be bent over in the bathroom," is like Mallory telling Calvin, "You're so vulgar."
What?
Please.
What? Then Charles, the gay brother, his dumbass, I guess got too high, too drunk at the club, because he fell asleep at the club.
Again, what was that powder? Because
he wakes up while the club literally is like, lights are on, they're vacuuming, and Delinda's like, "You got to get up out of here." And he's like, "Oh, well, I got robbed. Someone took his wallet, his chains," and they just throw his ass outside.
Oh yeah, Delinda's not having it.
But they didn't steal his car. They stole his wallet and his chains, but then didn't steal his car keys, knowing that his Lamborghini's parked outside. Mm-hmm. But we see that now Kimmie's off, and then her and Angel leave, and Angel walks to this car that's not the Charger, because the Charger's been burned to a crisp. Mm-hmm. So Kimmie's like, "Whose car is this?" "Well, it's Salvo's. I had to borrow a car." "What? You told him?" "Yes." "Can you trust him?" "Yes." And then she's like, "Well, promise you won't hurt Rico."
But first she paused, like, "I don't know if we should do that."
Bitch, how you gonna have second thoughts when for 3-4 episodes y'all have been planning this and you finally agree? Okay, but here's where things get real crazy, because Kimmie does agree. They get in the car and drive to his, I guess Rico's trap house.
Yep.
If
Angel is in awe.
Okay, I'm so confused, because for the last, 4 episodes, ever since it's 3 episodes. Ever since Kimmie found out that Rico is Jules' boss, she thinks he's running all this shit.
Yes.
So effectively, he's controlling her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if Kimmie thinks that Rico is the one holding her hostage, like he's running this operation, why won't she tell him? Because he keeps saying, like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? If I thought you knew something,
Mm-hmm.
then I would just tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're acting confused, it's just like the type of miscommunication that is.
It's a comedy of errors. This is Tyler Perry's comedy of errors.
It's a comedy of errors that is just so inappropriate to the storyline.
Also, for every Tyler Perry production now, we just have to say in black at the end, like people do with fortune cookies in bed.
Because Rico is telling her, like, why are you treating me this way after all I've done for you?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what the fuck have you done for me?
And she's like,
why isn't he telling her what he did for her?
Exactly.
Which we're going to mention in a second.
Uh-huh.
But it's just like this comedy of errors that is not funny and is not appropriate for this.
No.
Like dramatic thriller.
Well, again, it gets back to like, you're really just demeaning these people and making them seem fantastically stupid.
So they're in his house. Both Angel and Rico go inside.
Mm-hmm.
Angel and Kimmie go inside. Rico's sitting on the couch. And then Kimmie's like, well, what do you want me to do? Rico says, wait down here. We're going to go upstairs. So the two of them go upstairs. And
how sordid.
Angel is acting so sketchy because he's all on his phone. And Rico's like, who are you texting? My baby mama. But he won't get off the phone because clearly he's trying to text his Salvo and his thugs. So Rico seems like dubious, but whatever. And then Rico says, okay, we'll take off your clothes. Angel says, well, let's take our time. But then he downs that cognac.
Let's wait a while.
Oh my God. So then we cut back to Kimmie downstairs standing in the kitchen looking like when all of a sudden her phone rings. And guess who it is?
Rain.
Feel it on my fingertip. Or no, hear it on my window pane.
Yeah.
Feel it on my fingertip. Anyway, shout out to Madonna.
Yes, Madge.
So Kimmie picks up the phone like, hello? Hey, girl. Rain?
Why haven't you called me?
Why haven't you called me? Where are you? What are you talking about, girl?
Kimmie takes, like, of course, in her fashion, a minute to be like, I thought they told me you were dead.
And she's like, no, some old man came and moved me to a nicer hospital. And that's when we realized.
A room mover.
Chill, Rain is alive. Rain is alive.
And her hair's looking great.
Yeah.
In the hospital.
So while that revelation occurs, we see through the security cameras that Salvo and his thugs are breaking into the house to presumably rob Rico.
And the music?
But the music... It's like a rap song, but the intro is like, can you try to...
it's angels singing. It's just like, whoa.
It's like the Monks on Pure Moods Volume 3. Like, I just know.
I'm sure that track by itself sounds fine, but how it's placed there seems like, whoa.
Tyler,
this
girl,
really
what
dramatic.
are you doing?
Then we cut to...
The final scene of episode 7 is... the yellow Lamborghini
on that private road,
on that goddamn private
good
road,
old private road
that we have talked about 100 times, presuming that the gay brother Charles is in it. He's driving down the private road, not at a very high rate of speed. I guess he's
he's fucked up.
He's tentative now that there have been injuries and accidents. But anyway, the yellow Lambo's driving down the private road, and a group of like militia with automatic guns shoot up the Lambo. That shit comes to a stop and then explodes. And the CGI... Stunning.
Is...
Stunning.
It's more stunning and more stunning.
Brown cow stunning. It's brown cow stunning. Listen, for anyone who's saying ain't no way in hell I'm watching this series, I would say it's worth watching. So first off, watch the end of episode, like the final 2 minutes of episode 6, the final minute of episode 7, and then just randomly pick any 5 minutes of any episode.
It's brown note stunning. Okay.
So I can only imagine what episode 8 has in store for us.
It will bring relief because it is the end.
I'm going to I'm not going to read what it's about.
Oh, no. We forgot one major thing. Speaking of inconsistencies,
my gosh. Okay.
There's a phone conversation between Jules and
I can't believe I forgot that. And so between Jules and Richard Lawson Norman, and Richard is very suspicious of Jules.
Yes.
And Jules is like, well,
because we had to find out like what happened to all the people Richard Lawson murdered at the end of the last episode.
Right. So then Jules calls Richard saying, oh, hey, I heard you need a cleanup. And Richard goes, well, how do you know that? Well, Alex told me.
A-L-E-X.
A-L-E-X.
Yes.
And Richard's like, well, yeah, Alan.
What else did Alan, A-L-L-A-N, tell you? This shit, none of the executives at Netflix watched this.
It's not even Netflix. Where was the script supervisor while they were shooting this?
Anybody. There are a many number of people that looked at this in its entirety before it aired.
You know, the editors who work at TPP are like, F this Negro. We are so tired of this. Like, because imagine having to edit a Tyler Perry production. It's just like you would drive yourself crazy. You would drive yourself crazy.
Well, it depends on the paycheck. But yes, probably. Mm-hmm.
So you would just slap it together because you know that your big boss, being Tyler Perry, he doesn't care.
Tyler Perry's like, put this shit together. I got 2 movies to make in 3 days.
Yeah. Why would they care? If the person in charge doesn't give a shit, why am I going to sit here and go, there's an inconsistency?
But I mean, that's so raggedy. That is truly embarrassing. That's like when you turn in a paper and they're like, you spelled these words wrong? How? You spelled your name wrong. How'd you spell your name wrong in the paper? That's kind of at the level we're at. And that sloppiness, I think, is unforgivable. Really.
I don't know that that will be the straw that broke the camel's back for me, but it is ridiculous.
It's one of many things that is just like, you just don't give a fuck about any of this. And it's just kind of depressing. I don't know. And I think that his core audience that are diehards, I'm just like, don't you? That's like somebody in an abusive relationship. Like, don't you think you deserve better than this?
So we're approaching the final episode. Do you have any predictions?
Well,
what do you think is going to happen?
Sylvie's going to pop up as the 16-year-old
new stripper,
the new employee.
What do you think is going to happen at Horace's trap house?
Horace is
Rico's.
I think Kimmie's going to make the right choice and step in somehow, and that's going to be foiled horribly.
I agree.
And then,
what do you think Richard's about to do? Because he already had the gay brother killed. We haven't seen Debbie Morgan in 3 episodes.
We haven't, so I'm hoping she makes a comeback because she's a little bright light, right? But I think, well, the gay brother's dead.
Do you think we're going to get a scene of? I'm thinking because the gay brother's dead that Terrell, the lawyer who's in love with him, is going to tell everyone that
something's going to happen, or it could be that Charles is not dead yet, or like somebody else is driving his car. I don't know.
But we know that there's a season 2 coming, so I'm assuming that the loose ends aren't going to be tied up. But I would be lying if I said I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to finishing.
I'm looking forward to being done with it because it's just I think that the problem is, I think, with consuming too much of this stuff at one time is kind of toxic mentally, but isn't that my opinion? But yeah, I'm looking forward to it being done, and a nice break from Tyler Perry until next week when his new movie's on Netflix.
What is it called though?
The 6888.
Anything else?
No.
Ta-ta. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
We watched episode 8 of Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black, season 1, now streaming on Netflix. This was the final episode of season 1.
Oh, yes, we are now officially done with Tyler Perry duty.
The episode's called Killing Karma. What is it about? Schemes and secrets come full circle as Horace connects the dots behind the robbery. Mallory asserts her dominance, and Kimmie hits her breaking point. This is such a disappointing ending to the season.
Well, this is
I thought we were going to go out with a literal bang.
nope, because there's more bullshit planned.
It doesn't even feel like a cliffhanger.
Nope. Mm-mm. If anything, it finally hopefully fatally injures one of the more annoying characters, but that's about it.
Well, let's start from the beginning. So we know from the last episode that Kimmie and Angel were at Rico's trap house with the plan to rob him. But at the end of that episode, Kimmie gets a call knowing that Rain is still alive. She's been transferred to a nicer hospital, all thanks to Rico. So she realizes that she should do something, and she sees like burglars about to break into the house.
Mm-hmm.
So beginning of this episode, episode 8, Kimmie runs into the room Rico is sitting in, the bedroom. And she's like, oh my God, we have to go. We have to go. Is there another exit? We have to go. And he's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? When all of a sudden, several men wearing masks and who have guns bust in.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Rico says, you can have the money. There's a safe under the bed. Apparently, Rico had a safe custom made to fit into an IKEA bed frame. But they open, so the robbers go to open it. And Rico pulls out a machine gun.
That's just this gun is huge, and it's just in the chair.
It's not even a couch. Yeah, it's like an accent chair. Well, you know, I mean, it's not like it has cushions, but it's like, where could that gun have been? But Rico kills them. So now Angel and Kimmie are up there like freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's about to kill them, talking about, I need answers. First of all, Kimmie still won't tell Rico who she thinks he is. Mm-hmm. And Jules is confused. And Kimmie's dumbass even says, he knows that we know. Okay, bitch. So then why don't you just put everything out there so we can have an understanding?
Yep, you're about to maybe be shot. Okay.
Right. So she finally says, well, no, she keeps going. She goes, well, I don't know why you're doing this. You know, it doesn't matter because we still owe you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he's like, bitch, I still don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Well, Jules is our pimp and Jules works for you. So you're pimping us. Mm-hmm. And Rico doesn't say no, but his reaction is like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And she's like, yeah, Jules is running women, drugs, all that through your, like under your umbrella. Mm-hmm. So Rico seems surprised. And he's like, you know what? Take the money and get the fuck out of here. We don't want the money. We don't want that. Take the money. Well, how come you didn't, after all I've done for you, how come, well, what, you didn't tell me what you did for me? And then that's when he acknowledges, but he doesn't say why he didn't tell her.
Right.
Which was so annoying.
Uh-huh.
So they leave. Then we cut to Mallory again, always in the most awkward pose. They just start the scene with her at her sitting tub that's in the middle of this huge bathroom, and she's standing there in like her best Hervé Leger, mm-hmm. rubbing baby oil on herself, and just is such an awkward scene when the driver walks in. And once again, Mallory and that damn driver have the same exact conversation they have had twice before.
Yes.
This bullshit ass seduction where it's like, you want to be domineered and I'm not going to listen to you and you're going to threaten to fire me. Who do you think you're talking to?
You're a stalker.
Doesn't she say those exact words?
Yep, we just saw that in an elevator in a very unsexy sex scene.
This seduction is so boring.
Seduction.
Then we get Roy still high because he was coked out at the office. So he's high and apparently sick. He's driving or being driven by Mariah Carey's ex-boyfriend when he tells him to go to a liquor store. Well, first he says go to Moxy because he calls Lena, the class action lawsuit attorney, and tells her he wants to meet with her. And I thought Moxy was going to be a fancy hotel. But anyway, he tells the driver, you heard what I was talking about. Take me to Moxy. Well, wait, first stop at the liquor store. Brian stops at the Brian Tanaka. The driver stops at the liquor store. And all of a sudden, Roy like almost falls out of the car vomiting. gets mad that the driver's trying to help him, lights up a cigarette, and tells him to get him some gin. So you think you're going to go seduce this woman, high, drunk, sick, smell like cigarettes. Okay. So the driver is saying that he doesn't think it's a good idea. I don't give a fuck what you think. Go get my gin. The driver goes in to get the gin, but really calls Jules. And then it's clear that Jules wanted the driver to take Roy home. So when the driver walks back out there, Roy has jumped into the SUV he was being driven in and takes off. Okay. Then we see Kimmie and Angel fleeing from Rico's house, and Angel is shook. And Kimmie's like, you've never seen someone be murdered? Like, why are you acting like this? Kimmie has been so fragile this entire season, but now all of a sudden it's like, that ain't nothing but a dead body. When Rain calls, and what's Rain talking about? Come see me. Come see me.
Let's catch up right now.
Let's catch up.
And
Let's catch
Kimmie's
up.
like, it's not a good time. She goes, what do you, I know you're not working.
So they go to the hospital. Okay. Then Rico had called Jules. So Jules and the driver show up at that trap house where Rico took his machine gun out and killed several people.
Calvin.
And Jules is saying, like, what is this place? Whose house is this? Rico goes, you know, I have other places where I get my needs served. What? Then Jules is talking about, is this like, where's the woman who owns this house? What are you talking about?
And does she have anything to do with this?
So you know who I'm thinking, because they never explain who they're talking about. Do you think it's Debbie Morgan?
That'd be super weird. But nothing else makes sense in this, so why not?
We're not going to find out today because we're never told.
Well, yeah, maybe.
So then...
But wouldn't Jules know that it's Debbie Morgan?
Well, and what's the point? Oh, God. I hate this so much. So,
I mean, he knows so much about everything else.
So Jules is trying to figure out what to do with the scene. He's like, I need cell phones. I need to figure out who they were texting. And then he pulls one of the deceased wallets and sees that this person has a business card from a safe company. And he asks Rico, did you order that safe over there from the safe company? Yeah. Well, shit, they robbed you. Okay. What are the odds?
Wow.
What are the odds that on the same night, Angel and Rico were trying to steal from, or Angel and Kimmie were trying to steal from Rico, that the safe company Rico used also planned to burglarize him?
Right, because Salvo, the man that was supposed to help Angel, never showed up.
Because we're presuming he was in that Lamborghini that blew up on the private road. I really, if anyone has decided to watch this series at this point, like, but hasn't started it yet, can you please keep a ticker of how many times someone mentions the private road?
The private road.
Because, you know,
the new hit single, Private Road.
Tyler Perry lives in like this $100 million mansion on the outskirts of Atlanta, this huge property, and he has a private road and a helicopter pad, and I think like a landing strip for a small jet. It's just so like the private road. Of course, some things are supposed to be unrelatable, but it's like, I'm so tired of hearing about this damn private.
Take the private road. It's shorter. What are they doing on the private road?
Okay, then Rico, because Kimmie finally tells Rico, yeah, they're like, Jules is working with this judge who's keeping all of us like under his thumb, basically saying like, if we don't allow ourselves to be trafficked, he'll put us back in prison. And Rico says, well, who's this judge? And she says the name. And then we find out that this is someone that they went to school with, Rico and Richard Lawson. So now Rico wants to meet the judge. He tells Jules, I want to have a dinner with this guy. And of course, Jules is freaking out because he's like, oh my God, Rico's putting the pieces together. Oh my God. We finally end up at Moxy, which we thought would be a fancy hotel. No, it's just some old regular ass, overpriced, what looks like a like a sports bar.
Well, it looks outdoors because they're ashtrays.
And this fool, who is high and wants to keep drinking, is sitting across from the attorney filing the class action lawsuit and immediately starts propositioning her for sex.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, this is inappropriate. Are you trying to bribe me? And he's telling her he wants to offer her a job when all of a sudden Mallory walks in.
Because Jules called her.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And
she says, send me some men.
So she sits down at the table and tells Roy, you need to leave. Roy won't leave. And she goes, okay. She hits something on her phone, and everyone in the restaurant gets what appears to be a text message, and everyone gets up in unison and walks out of the restaurant.
So we're in a science fiction universe.
First of all, that's so stupid. Also, it didn't even look cool.
Nope.
Everything's shot. I mean, it's just like the way shit is shot. It just, because, obviously cinematography can help tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this cinematography just makes a stupid script even more asinine because it just all looks so.
This cinematography has some kind of eye disorder.
Because we've noticed several shots throughout the 8 episodes where it's just a random shot, looks like maybe it's a handheld camera and it's shaky.
Yeah, like if they had to like staple in some B-roll.
Because they are like filming on a shoestring time constraint and only do one take, so they have to just pull from other, like, I mean, it just all looks so cheap.
It doesn't, they don't even need to do more takes because there's no way you could make any of this dialogue manageable.
Yeah, there's no point.
I mean, yeah, might as well just bulldoze through it.
Angel and Kimmie go to visit Rain, and that was such a pointless meeting.
Yeah.
We don't learn anything about her condition. They don't share any. They refuse to share anything with her because she can tell something's not right. She sees blood on Angel's shoe, and they just go, well, we have to go. So we spend 3 minutes for what? Nothing.
For her. And then for her to be like, I got a sugar daddy that put me up in here. No, you don't, girl. He's not. Well,
speaking of Rico, he's at home, I guess, recuperating from the robbery murder he was just involved in. And his butler asks if he wants anything. And while he's asking him, he hears fire trucks.
What's going on Old Town Road?
And the butler's like, it's
something.
It's somewhere in the property out back. I think it's the private road. Well, can you go out there and check? Okay. And then Rico calls a man named Harold,
who we haven't met yet.
Who we don't know who this is, and we don't find out by the end of the episode.
This is in the wee hours of the morning, so like between 2-3 a.m. presumably.
Yeah.
Somebody says it's sorry it's so early. The other one says it's so late.
Yeah. Can you meet me in the morning? And they're like, well, that's just in a couple hours. This dialogue. Then Mallory and Roy are in the car leaving Moxy after they tried to bribe. Because Mallory, after Roy leaves, she tries to offer Lena, the attorney, a job, and Lena is like, no. So Mallory threatens the lawyer, basically, like, I'm gonna show you what I can do. So now they're in the car, Roy and Mallory, and they start arguing, and Roy tries to grab Mallory's phone, and they can tell she's not wearing panties. And now he's all mad, like, why aren't you wearing panties?
Because that makes sense, that blocking and choreography.
Why did we need that? It served no purpose, and all we got from that scene is Mallory in the midst of all that yelling at the driver, like, why are you not taking the private road? It's shorter. So the driver gets on the private road, and that's when we see the accident. Like, the Lamborghini that blew up is still on fire. Oh my God. So Angel and Kimmie get back to the motel, and guess who's waiting there? Body and old dumbass Delinda.
Body yaddy yaddy.
With Kimmie's motel door open. And they pull up, and Body's antagonizing them. And then Body says, you know what? Since you're trying to take my spot and you're not listening, I found a solution. And just like you predicted, somehow Body has Kimmie's 16-year-old sister in that Chrysler Pacifica. And I was like, please tell me at long last, after 8 episodes, Kimmie is going to stand up to this raggedy bitch And she does. She assaults her, but Body gets the upper hand and pulls a knife on her. And then just stands there while Kimmie has time to run to the car, get in it, start it, and drives the car into Body. Like Mel Gibson's wife in Signs.
God.
And that's the end.
She's pinned between two cars, but you know what? I bet she'll live because that BBL cushioned her.
You know, that's exactly what I thought. I bet Body's not going to be dead, and they're going to say, thank goodness she has all that Fix-A-Flat in her ass, and that's what saved her.
That ass.
I'm sure this will be the least entertaining episode because I am so disappointed at how lackluster. I mean, this series is horrible, but I thought for sure the final episode was going to be crazy.
You said as soon as it ended, you're like, well, that was some bullshit. And I said,
common phrases.
Common phrases after finishing a Tyler Perry production.
Man, first of all, we're like, I don't even know what to say about it.
It's just a supreme waste of time. I dare I say talent from some involved.
Where's Debbie Morgan? She's been missing.
Debbie Morgan was like, I can't do anymore.
Of course, there's a little like 13-second trailer after the final episode ended showing clips from next season, which we're told is coming spring 2025. Man, just, I mean, I was a fan of Scandal. And I watched some of Shonda Rhimes' shows. But what I do know from Scandal is that lady knows how to keep you on the edge of your seat. And it's like, whatever that skill is, I feel like Tyler Perry has the opposite skill.
Oh, yeah.
Every episode just leaves you like, and then the next episode starts and it's just repetitive and like, he's so inefficient with his storytelling on top of it being stupid.
There's so much repetition and just like dead narrative space.
There could be a screenwriting class could do like an entire month on just this series and how it just doesn't make sense to grab the viewer. I think the only reason because some people have said they enjoyed it, but like,
well, I mean, it's a soap opera, so if that is something that you like, then that is in this wheelhouse for sure.
Well, the other thing is, a lot of soap operas, they have to be repetitive because people are jumping in and out, right? Like not everyone watches every day, so you kind of have to catch people up. But an 8-episode series on streaming that I can watch whenever I want, I don't need you. What percentage of these 8 episodes do you think was repetitive? I would say like 40%.
Yes.
Almost half feels like you're just giving us the same scene in a different location. We get it. You can give us new stuff. It's almost like I
don't think he had any new ideas.
And so I feel like the ideas he had would probably, like, if we take the entire season and trim the fat, that could have been like 3 solid episodes. But we got 8 out of it. Well, I'm sorry to everyone who thought that this final, I mean, I'm not enjoying talking about this final episode. There's just nothing fun about it. The only thing that makes sense in all 8 episodes is Kimmie running into Body with a car.
Yes.
Right? That's the only thing that felt right.
Yep.
All of the other violence, all of the shit talking, all of Mallory's craziness, all her jealousy,
all of the homophobia,
all of it just served like it's just not giving me anything.
Nope.
I didn't feel anything. It's all laughably dumb.
And we're going to get probably 8 more episodes.
So, of course, we have to answer the question I'm sure we're going to get. Do we intend on watching season 2?
Well, I don't know.
We have welcomed a lot of new people to our Patreon.
Yeah.
Which was not the original intention.
No,
In fact, a patron messaged us with the idea that they enjoyed the first episode, that was episodes 1 and 2. And they said you should make it available to everyone and like tell it on YouTube, and that would bring traffic. So I thought that was a great idea. So thank you to that person for that advice. So, I mean, that is a good thing, is that because a lot of the people who have joined as free members have converted. because I'm sure they liked what they heard. I will say most of the movies we review on our Patreon are of a higher quality. I mean, really anything is of a higher
anything's of a higher
quality.
quality. But I mean, I said that we should watch this, as a point. I've written quite a bit about Tyler Perry this year, actually. There's going to be something forthcoming in
Spin Magazine.
Spin Magazine next week on my worst films of the year write up. So to me, it makes sense that
That's not a spoiler, though. I think people should expect that.
No, it's not a spoiler. But
he would at least make one spot on your list.
Sure, but I think a lot of white journalists just ignore writing or talking about him altogether.
I think that's the problem was that it's the problem with that for me is that it delegitimizes Black creatives. Like, oh, we can't even hold them to the same standard.
Yeah.
And who's at fault for that is someone like a Tyler Perry.
So when I suggested that we finally do watch this, I don't think either of us was intending to talk about it. But then
not at all. So I'm so glad that we did, because it seems like people enjoyed it.
Because we watched the first two back to back, and then you were like, we should talk about this.
Yeah. But that's all I have, I guess, until spring 2025 for this show. But we have more content coming on our Patreon, of course. So thank you to everyone who, I mean, I'm sure this totals what, like 6 hours worth of us, not 6, maybe 5.5 hours.
I think we really just said, none of this makes sense. This is stupid.
Well, and the irony is that, because I am going to combine all of these into one long episode and put it on YouTube. So I feel like if someone listens to all 5 hours of us rambling about season 1, they'll probably think like, God, they just keep saying the same thing.
Well, you know what? It's happened. He has made us say that he has made us into repetitive automatons. We've become Mallory Bellarie.
You made me hit you.
You're so stupid. How many times she said? And then in this episode, she's like, nobody's stupid. But
right, bitch. You have spent 8 episodes calling everyone stupid. And then she, I mean, it's kind of brilliant. I mean, it certainly wasn't deliberate, but it's kind of brilliant that her character, her last use of the word is like, ain't nobody stupid.
Somebody needs to create something akin
Mama, according to you, everyone is stupid.
Somebody needs to create something akin to like a Being John Malkovich, but in Tyler Perry's brain. It might be a short.
It's going to be dollar signs, penises, and no, I'm just kidding. Watch, I'm gonna get sued one day. allegedly. All right. Well, are we done talking about this?
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who listened. Ta-ta.